No further delay. Let's get into this information and situation. I know that you know Dabrand knows. So let's go ahead and start the show.
Sunroof top, digging in the scene with the gangster lean and and we ain't coming down. See on my face that smile. See on my head that's crown. Top of the world, talk of the town, baby.
Town, baby. Talk of the town. This is the talk of the town.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. President Trump is on fire.
InfoWars, tomorrow's news today.
Waging war on corruption, crashing through the lies and disinformation. Coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas, transmitting worldwide. I am your faithful servant, Alex Jones, and this is The Great Awakening, the answer to the New World Order's tyrannical death cult Great Reset. We are 12 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, 22 seconds to the inauguration of the 47th President of the United States of America. All right, President Trump has been pretty quiet since he won the election comparatively, and he's not done any big press conferences, but after he defeated their attempts to not certify him yesterday, and it is official that he will be inaugurated unless they're able to kill him in 12 days, he started a press conference 1 hour ago that is still ongoing. And he hasn't even gone to questions yet, and I have 3 people on the team watching it and grabbing clips. It is incredible. Now, I have loaded huge guests today, and I'm still going to have them on. But I would imagine Owen doesn't mind. I'll probably co-host the War Room with him just to play the clips of this. And we'll play a lot today, but it's still ongoing. I was already so excited about the news, all the good news happening around the world as the globalists are just accelerating their collapse. I mean, there's more damage to the New World Order in a day than used to happen in a year. We laid the foundation here, all of us together, and now it is unbelievable, the developments. I mean, I was already, before this press conference started, up here very early this morning and just never been so optimistic, but also concerned because the bad guys are going to get more desperate and God knows what they'll do. Well, we have a lot of good ideas they pre-programmed. Then I started, off and on watching the press conference. Everything he's saying is just dynamite. Every 30 seconds is just unbelievable. Coffin nails to the New World Order. Sunshine to vampires, silver bullets to werewolves, antibiotics to bacteria. I mean, this is unbelievable. But the biggest takeaway I've gotten from what he said, and again, the crew's watching, and I've only watched about a third of it in the last hour, because I might have a heart attack of joy if I actually watch the whole thing, is America's back. He explained how the globalists purposely had their foot on our neck to shut us down and control us within the deal with China, how that's over, how in studies, just since he got elected, optimism has never been higher in the economy. Restaurants that used to be popular were empty under Biden. Now they're full. I can't get reservations, which is a good thing. A lot of my favorite restaurants closed, and that's a good indicator right there. But yeah, optimism the highest ever. Tens of trillions announced to flood in because people want to invest in America. They want to hear it's open again. So he said that at 10:43, and I sat there just with my mouth hanging open for 3 minutes when he said that clip. And we've got it. And then right before I went live, he said, we're no longer going to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of Mexico, it'll be the Gulf of America. And things like that really matter because they've been demoralizing America, running America down, teaching us to hate ourselves, that we're not great. And all this talk of taking over Canada, Greenland, all of it is just amazing. Taking back the Panama Canal, yes, 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 we gave it all away. And it's that spirit we need of the nation state being dominant and powerful, but not through military conquest, but through financial and cultural power. We will get Canada. We will get Greenland. We will get Panama. We will get everything, and they will love it. They want it. They've got polls out in Canada, something like 70% of Canadians want to join the United States. Now, we got to be careful about that because of the Electoral College and a lot of other issues. We got to deprogram them. The process would be delicious. But you want prosperity, you want freedom, baby, you're about to get it. And I haven't even hit the news yet. My God, they're in total free fall. I mean, it is so delicious. Tell everybody you know, tune in now. Share the links to Real Alex shows now. You're Paul Revere. You're unstoppable. You're a weapon system. Stand up and be counted for what you are about to receive. We are the dealers. We'll give you everything you need. It is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025, and humanity has awoken from their coma. The spell of Satan is being broken. The fire of liberty has exploded. I can feel the energy at a level I have never felt it before. This is humanity coming back from the brink of annihilation. And all of you that have steadfastly worked in the trenches to bring us to this moment where we've got more than a fighting chance against the death cult, I salute you. All right, let me get to it. I was already literally an hour and a half ago in my office researching, and I said about a minute private prayer. I didn't speak it. Put my head down on the desk in my hands and said, God, I am so excited about this news. I am so fired up. Will you please give me control so that I can, in a proper way, judicious way, pull up the definition of judicious, please, but in a focused, well thought out way, present to you what I know. What I know. Now, I told you yesterday, mark down January 6, 2025, because of a lot of things that happened. Trump being certified, but Trudeau announcing his resignation, imminent resignations all over the globalist controlled system. They are being extracted right now. And there's no reversing it. And it's everywhere. And then, an hour and 9 minutes ago, Trump started his press conference. It's really been him up there giving us a report. Last time I checked minutes ago, he hasn't gone to questions yet. Absolutely annihilating, devastating, dominating, brutalizing, savaging the entire globalist system. Because when he speaks for the people, not just of America, but around the world that want freedom. And I said yesterday, Trump has been behind the scenes planning, preparing to get the right people in, something he was misdirected on 8 years ago, and has been basically quiet since he won November 6th. The election was November 5th, but he won November 6th. And then the certification happened yesterday. And I said yesterday at the start of the show, I said, you can mark your calendar for January 6, 2025 as the acceleration point when it will be clear to everyone that the New World Order is done. And I likened it to sitting there in a deer stand at 400 yards with a 300 Win Mag rifle, and a big buck comes out of the woods, and you squeeze the trigger, and you got the scope open on it, high magnification, and you see him jolt, and you see blood spray out the other side, and he runs in the woods 20 yards away, and you know when you let him bleed out and walk down there, he's going to be dead in the edge of the woods. So they're dead politically. using that violent analogy, but I'm saying don't be violent physically, be violent with the truth. Savage them. Show no mercy. They're done. And just as I said 6 months ago to Zuckerberg over and over again that he should capitulate, roll over publicly, apologize, and the next move would be then to stop the censoring on the Meta platforms, that he needed to prove himself before anyone trusts him at all. He comes out yesterday and says, I'm wrong, I'm bad, we shouldn't censor you, the fact checkers were a fraud. We're going to Elon Musk model of community notes, which I didn't think were going to be as good as they were. It's worked really well, especially against the establishment and the fact checkers. It's destroyed them. And that's the Elon effect. Then you've got YouTube head coming out. Last one died of cancer. Young woman, globalist, takes all the shots, son committed suicide. It's terrible to serve the New World Order. Wages of sin or death. The new idiot says, oh, we've always been free speech. And you see Trudeau stepping down, and you see Starmer will be gone soon, AFD surging. It's happening everywhere. And just as I told you, and I said yesterday a bunch, that you're going to see more collapse every day in the globalist system. If you thought them in trouble and their systems having problems and some of their systems collapsing in the last 8 years, that was just on a Richter scale a 0.03. And on a Richter scale, it's exponential each level up. Now with Trump's reelection, the greatest comeback story in history, that was a 3 on the Richter scale. Elon going all out and turbocharging and amplifying all the populist movements worldwide and pumping massive attention onto the bad guys in each country and massive money into the good guys was like firing turbo oxygen into an engine with nitrous oxide. So the Liberty Movement was at 1,000 horsepower. Elon Musk just took it to 5,000 horsepower. And so I likened it to a Starship or Falcon Heavy taking off, the biggest rockets in the world. And at first, when they ignite, they're moving at about just a few feet the first second. And then it's a couple hundred feet the next second. And then it's going 20 miles an hour. And a few seconds later, it's going 300 miles an hour. And then it's going 1,000 miles an hour. And 30 seconds into launch, it's going 4,000 miles an hour. And a minute later, it's going 25,000 miles an hour. So that isn't an analogy. That is what's happening. So we, as a rocket of liberty, have now hit about 5,000 miles an hour. And in the next month, we're going to hit 25,000 miles an hour. And it's escape velocity. We've already reached it. So they are totally fucked. Okay? This is real. This is going down. Nobody's perfect, but the people in our movement and the leadership 100% does not want to kill everybody and have world government and feed everybody bugs and get rid of the prosperity. And when the general public and much of the establishment that really was naive figured this out and said it's really as bad as Alex Jones said, they said, we're not going along with this craziness. Trump was somewhat awake 9 years ago when I started talking to him, but he still didn't really think it was that bad. Now his sons, led by Don Jr. and by Barron, have completely educated him. Elon has come out and said, I had no idea that actual pedophile rings and intelligence agencies run the West. We've got to destroy them. He said that yesterday. It took them taking his favorite son away and sterilizing him and saying F you back to him when he politely said, please don't do this, and brainwashing him, and then a bunch of his people getting sick from the shot, including his brother, to finally get him to go, wait a minute, it's really this bad? Yeah, Elon, you now know it's this bad. And anybody questioning what Elon's doing, that's fine. It's fine to question things, but don't build straw men because Elon Musk has turbo supercharged what we're doing. And again, I'm going to say it again. It is a fact that you judge a tree by its fruits, and what he is doing is destroying the globalist. And again, you can't just become them later, because when you educate the public how it works and discredit the philosophy of the New World Order, the death cult, the demoralization cult, the depopulation cult, and on every front, he wants you moralized, happy, successful, having children, more research, more energy, more industry. You don't do that when you're the New World Order. You don't do that when you're in the death cult. You don't dismantle the intelligence agencies and the pedophile rings. You just take over the governments and then use that system for control. They are destroying it. Scorched earth. That's the facts. That's what I look at. It's incontrovertible. And I said yesterday, Trump has been somewhat dormant, getting his team ready. I said currently Elon Musk is doing a lot more to destroy the globalists than Trump, but I said that's not about a competition. I said I would expect in the next few days and weeks he will start announcing more of what he's going to do, building confidence in the public, mobilizing sovereignty, mobilizing pride and honor and will to love ourselves and our country and capitalism and success again, to then turn the economy back on, secure the republic, stop the wars, and dismantle the globalist control system. The press conference that's still ongoing, that started an hour and 17 minutes ago, is the most dynamite stuff I've ever seen Trump say, and I know it's all Israel policies, and everybody knows that's what he's going to do, and so the confidence is creating the economy and for jobs and industry and investment here is spectacular. He's now going to questions. So I want to just say thank you, God, for working through the public, the population of the world and America and this fight we've been through. And the Lord works in mysterious ways. Trump had to fight so hard. We had to fight hard to get him in 8 years ago. They tried to block his agenda. He wasn't as informed and battle-hardened and seasoned as he is now. He said that himself many times. The persecution made him really understand his enemy, just like the persecution of Musk made him understand his enemy. Just like the persecution of myself made me stronger and wiser and tougher and more resilient. Hard times make strong men. Well, it's been good times for most folks in the days, but it's not been what you call good times for those of us on the front line. But we understand the universe, and actually the good times are during the hard times when you find out who you really are and you overcome tyranny over and over again. Sometimes you fail in a battle, but you never quit, and you end up winning the war through perseverance, through the flames of the smithy, from the flames of the Festian white-hot fire, as God slams that hammer down on you between that anvil and then carves his directives onto the blade. To be a blade forged by God is the greatest gift ever. Free will and consciousness is just the first great gift. But the greatest of gifts is to be chosen to be a weapon against Satan. And it is a great honor. I am a sword. Donald Trump is a sword. Tucker Carlson is a sword. Elon Musk is a sword. And those of you battling tyranny and being persecuted, fire that forged you in God's will, you are a mighty sword. The sword of truth. Now, we're awakening, we're fighting back, we're winning. Because when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord lifts up a standard against it. And there are greater challenges in the future and even more powerful evils we'll face. But in this cycle, we have turned the tide dramatically. We have more than the initiative. We have the entire future paradigm in our hands. And the resistance we do now lays the groundwork for 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, when we will face the final obstacle, the Antichrist, and lose in the third quarter and win in the fourth. And history repeats, it rhymes. There are many Antichrists, but one final Antichrist, the Bible tells us. And just as you've seen us struggle, win, lose, come back even stronger, that's how the big cycle will come. The final cycle, the supreme turning. And if you think this quickening that you've seen is spectacular, the eye has not seen, the ear has not heard, the taste buds have not tasted, the soul has not even felt what is in store. So I thank the Almighty Creator for the gift of consciousness and how God has worked in mysterious ways. And only now can I begin to even glimpse a tiny spark of God's mind. And it's so beyond magnificent, perfect completion, total mastery, timelessness, infinity. Our feeble senses, the sixth senses, are nothing compared to the timelessness of our spirit and its ability to interface with the infinite. All right, let me stop preaching and just say this. You see the WEF protege, the example of what they wanted for the planet, the UN golden boy, the man-child, Trudeau, announcing his resignation yesterday, Starmer fighting for his political life, totally desperate, as white as a sheet, looks like a man at his own funeral, politically. All the rest of them in full panic mode, running and rushing to defend him, calling for Elon Musk head because he dare flamethrow the key to their control arm, their satanic pedophile network. And then now Starmer's had his spokespersons out saying, well, we'll end our special relationship, intelligence relationship with the United States if Trump doesn't rein in Elon Musk. The British government in pure panic mode after they threatened Elon with criminal charges a few months ago, and Elon simply quadrupled down, and then quadrupled down again, and then quadrupled down again, and is now vaporizing the Labour Party, that is the Fabian Socialist control system in the UK, that is a key intelligence group that set up the CIA and the whole globalist system we live under, that set up Israel, set it all up. The British Empire just merged after World War II in the mainline histories. That's not my opinion. Most people don't know that. Winston Churchill wrote 3 books about it, The History of the English-Speaking Peoples. And the deal was made starting in the 20s, the Pratt House and the CFR's Royal Institute of International Affairs establishment. And the takeover was, the merger of the marriage was complete in 1945. This is in mainline history, PhD level, though. And the British Fabian Socialist pedophile cult that infected us and everybody else with this system, the Rothschild system, to a great extent. They have breeding rights to the British family, they're Rothschilds. They have now started threatening to cut ties with the United States. Yeah, let's have that divorce. And I think your people are going to want a divorce from you. So, good. Good. Very good. As Judge Smells says, how about a fresca? We kicked your ass in the 1770s, and we're going to kick your ass again. And I'm not talking about the people of England or Scotland or Ireland, our brethren. I'm talking about the degenerate, disgusting parasite you have sucking the blood out of your neck. Old Count Dragon. The house of the dragon is on its way out. And when I say that, for a new listener, what the hell are you talking about? You understand that King Charles officially says that, and it's a fact, that the main bloodline since King George I, 300 years ago, is not even German. It's Transylvanian. From the Carpathian Mountains. Directly to Count Dracula. King Charles even looks like Count Dracula. And he lives half the year in Count Dracula's original castle. That's why Bram Stoker couldn't write that book and tell you a metaphor for how things worked, because they'd have killed him, but he could write a fiction novel called Dracula. That's why they don't just rape children. They drink their blood. And if you look into that, and Jimmy Savile in the hospitals raping thousands of children, that's mainstream news, and they found a satanic dungeon under his house, and he had the highest security clearance in the UK to be able to go into any royal facility, nuclear weapons bunker, into the Queen's chambers, anywhere he wanted. And you know what he delivered? Blood. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We are running massive flash sales right now for just the next 4 days at thealexjonesstore.com. On Wednesday, the big sweepstakes on the amazing off-road Ford Trimmer turbo diesel will be ending. Each day, any product you buy, you get entered 10 times to win. There's a bunch of other specials. On the last day, Wednesday, any order, no matter how small, you will get a limited edition free black InfoWars hat with every order and 10x entries. Also, free $6 store credit with no minimum purchase and 10x entries. 25% off store-wide. On top of the sales, it's all there at thealexjonesstore.com, and your purchase keeps us on the air. Be sure and become a VIP member for $30 a month, cancel anytime. You get $40 to spend each month in the store when you're a VIP, and a whole bunch of other special offers, sales, and bigger discounts. Be sure to become a VIP member, thealexjonesstore.com, and enter to win the truck. America is back. I have worked for more than 30 years to be at the position we're at right now. I studied the enemy's battle plans and warned the public each step they would take, and the public began to see those steps taken, and more people woke up because of this audience of activists, and many others doing great work as well, but we're recognized by the enemy as the detonator. We took it over the top. You did it. Look in the mirror. What an accomplishment. And now, as Mark Twain said, in the beginning, a patriot is a scarce man, hated, feared, and scorned. But in time, when his cause succeeds, the timid join him, because then it cost nothing to be a patriot. And it is the winter soldiers, not the sunshine patriots, that have taken us to this point. that's okay. Because this is what destroying an ideology and a criminal system looks like. This is what the collapse of their initiative and their will looks like. This is the very blood of victory. So, let me just briefly recap what we have on the radar, and then I'm going to start going to these incredible clips of President Trump that we'll never be able to get to them all, but the full press conference is and will be posted on Real Alex Jones at X and Infowars.com as soon as it's done. And we will have clips throughout the broadcast and clips throughout the War Room at 3 p.m. today with Owen Schroyer. And throughout tomorrow, I mean, this is big. And tomorrow I intend to probably spend at least 2 hours just playing clips and breaking down why they're so important. Obviously, you got a good idea, but I've that little I'll probably add might enlighten you. I'll take a lot of calls too coming up the next few days. You can enlighten me, but it's a very, very exciting time to be alive, to say the least. All right, so here's what's going on. As I predicted years ago, leading up to this point, and that I've intensely called in the last few months, that we were reaching a collapse point in the globalist. Kind of like the Soviet Union was really collapsing for a decade before it finally collapsed in just a week or so in 1991. But this is a much bigger, more insidious and powerful ideology. Communism was just one arm of the death cult. And so it won't be as obvious in many ways, but it's my job to make it obvious to everyone, including the bad guys, so their minions give up and do what Zuckerberg started doing 3 or 4 months ago, jumping ship, and that would cause now Bezos to at least publicly jump ship, and so many others, as you've been witnessing. And then populist, anti-globalist, anti-war leaders winning everywhere around the planet that you're now seeing. And the resignations now happening faster and faster and faster, like Trudeau yesterday, and others within the next month, I predict, like Keir Starmer, because he's so dangerous to the globalist, and they'll have to make him give up, even though he doesn't want to soon, and they'll shuffle in some new crooks, and then we'll get rid of them even faster, just like Trudeau and their scammers will use the parliamentary manipulation in the next few weeks, try to put another bad guy in. He'll fall in a month. If they can get another bad person in, he'll fall in a week. That's what this peaceful revolutions look like. Those are the types we want. So they can run and they can rearrange deck chairs on the Titanic, but they're sunk. All the king's horses and all the king's men will never put their New World Order death cult back together again. And you've got Google coming out and saying they're for free speech now. Of course, that won't happen. But they know they've lost. Won't happen entirely. They'll act like they did. And I've been a little busy today, but we're going to shoot a video of it later, maybe in the afternoon, maybe tomorrow. But it's a good test and illustration to go into the computer, have a camera over my shoulder, get screenshots, try to go log into Facebook, tell them it's Alex Jones, do the verification, send in my driver's license, and have them refuse me. And then we'll try to sign InfoWars back up. And then that will put more heat on Cucker. And they've hemorrhaged, they've fallen apart, they've lost half their audience. Because if there was total censorship, that wouldn't happen. But if you've got Rumble and InfoWars and then the Mighty X to go to, and many other great places, and the constellations of liberty, it then causes a mass exodus from their ship of tyranny and surveillance and censorship to the new ships And I said that yesterday. I said, why would Elon really bring censorship in to X with this negativity index, completely open-ended, even more open for manipulation than saying it's fake news? And that was the problem. Saying something's fake news and then having the corporate media run those things and lie about everything quickly discredited them and just pointed out what big liars we already knew they were. Something more nebulous and completely gaseous like negativity. And he says if they do it, he'll explain it and post the rules. How do you even do that? I don't even see how that's done. So I would tell Elon, stick with your instincts and what you did, and we'll figure out who really is just trying to infight and lie, and just let the community know and let the people expose it, and let the bad guys and the saboteurs, because we know the left's gone from publicly fighting and pushing their ideology to now creating infighting, divide and conquer, and just let them do it. We'll beat them. Let them. It adds to the entertainment value. So, that said, that is a side issue, and it's not even been done yet. People have been running around saying he did it, he didn't yet. That itself is not true. And we don't need to censor people that are out lying about it or who are wrong. Just we correct them. That's how it works. That's freedom. And X is already the dominant news and information side on the planet, from where it was in third or fourth place, falling apart in just 2 years, and it will just continue to dominate if it is free. I know I'm not telling Elon something he doesn't know, but I'm not going to give away inside baseball, and I've not been told what Elon's doing. I know, and I'll just leave it at that. So, what really matters is that Elon is not just turned up the heat exponentially to levels that are spectacular, accelerating the collapse of the globalist, because you can't let them flounder around in long death throes politically out there, sabotaging things that could get the planet blown up. And they're trying to go after Musk criminally and civilly, the EU, Brazil, Canada, the U.S. government. We fixed that problem in 12 days, getting Trump in the U.S., but not around the rest of the place. And I said for months, Elon, flamethrow them, go after the pedophile rings. It's the right thing to do anyways. These governments are all run by their intelligence agencies and pedophile rings. That's how they stage these coups, places like Romania, against the anti-war president that won. You've got to go for the jugular. And Elon hasn't decided to go for the jugular. He went for it and already got it. They're bleeding out. They're dead politically. That's already done. So press the attack. Show no mercy. Do what must be done, Lord Vader. The Jedi are relentless. If they're not all wiped out, there'll be civil war with no end. And I'm joking. Obviously, we're not the bad guys. That's how the globalists try to portray us, so we play along with the little joke. No, we're not the ones that want to cut the little boys' penises off and poison everyone with atrazine and fluoride and poison prion, spongiform encephalopathy causing injections. We're not the ones that want thermonuclear war. We're not the ones that want to cut off the energy sources. We're not the ones that want to certify that teachers don't even need to be able to pass a literacy test. We want children to know how to say 2 + 2 = 4, because that's the essence of freedom, as George Orwell said, Eric Blair. So, that's where we are. And the enemy is planning racial division and civil emergency, civil war. They're planning false flags. They're planning power outages to be blamed on the Russians. They're planning and have launched a new group of pandemic hysterias. And they're escalating. Barely hit the news, but it's definitely meant to piss Russia off. Big, giant invasion 2 days ago. With thousands of armored vehicles and tanks and drones and jets and helicopters into Russia, battling the Russian and North Korean troops. Over 1 million dead so far. It's World War. The only question is, will it go nuclear? Thursday Live, the panicked, pedo-controlled UK government threatens to cut ties with the U.S. if Elon Musk doesn't stop exposing their massive crimes against children. That's what they're doing. And Macron comes to their aid, and Schultz comes to their aid, and dozens of other EU puppets come to his aid saying, leave him alone or we'll break ties with America. Stop him, Trump. And I said Sunday and I said Monday, I said, Elon has eclipsed Trump during Trump's relative silence, which is fine because when Trump comes back with actual policy and says America's open for business and the economy surges, Trump will then eclipse Elon. And that's what healthy internal competition is about, is us challenging each other and reveling in the victory and the glory of success for humanity. The shared glory. That's what you're supposed to have in a healthy, vibrant society. And so Trump came back roaring out of the gates today in the ongoing press conference. It started an hour and 46 minutes ago. And it's spectacular because everything he says he plans to do, and almost all of it he can get done, cutting energy in half. It'll take him about a year to do it, but the results will start immediately. Getting tens of trillions invested in industry, innovation, science, manufacturing, real medical, real defense, real education. We're back. It's on. It's happening. It's real. Because all we're promoting is prosperity and success and security. Globalists tell you you're ugly, you're bad, humans are bad, oh, everything's a dystopia, the world's going to end in 2030. It's climate change. No, it's their policies of cutting off the energy, cutting off the fertilizer, destabilizing the countries, lockdowns, which they admit was a plan to collapse the world and then organize everyone under their control, begging for scraps as they incrementally, every time you submit, take more by successive approximation. But if we expose the plan to make us poor, to control us, feudalism, modern, reboot, neo-feudalism, crony capitalism on the top, communist, new religion, anti-human, death cult, earth worship at the bottom, but not even actually worshiping the earth, not even actually empowering life, but the opposite. Their internal plan is post-carbon, new silicon life form. I mean, it's totally anti-God. You think the devil, that little creepy gremlin, that space gremlin, you think he doesn't just hate people? Hates it all because he sees God's signature on all of our asses. So, devil don't like you. God loves you and made you. Get with the program, folks. So, we're for life or we're for death. We're for success or we're for failure. You're on Team Humanity or you're on Team Demon. And as I said for decades, when they go operational in Agenda 2030, which I said they'd go for broke in 2020, with a virus, because they said they would in thousands of documents that I covered, that I've shown you just yesterday again, 2009, telling you right down to what happened 11 years before they launched it. And I know where they're going to take us if we don't stop them. You might want to go read what the WEF and the Club of Rome and the UN say about sustainability by the year 2047. The post-human world. Just look that term up. WEF, post-human world. That's their statement, sweetie. Now, why is it hard to sell some of you on joining us? They want you to eat bugs in the interim before they slowly kill you. You might not want to take their hand. You might want to take ours. There's a reason the good guys have energy and don't use teleprompters and look good. Because serving evil physically has a manifestation, and you can see it in our enemies. Do you want to be with a system that spiritually affects your body to where you look like a satanic interdimensional spider, which they are, sucked your soul? You want to look like a Skeksis in the dark crystal after they're done sucking their essence out so they wander around like a retarded zombie? I don't think I want to join those guys. No, I like this. I like strength, knowing how things work, and my God loving me. I'll take all my energy and keep it, thank you. I'm not food for vampires. All right, we're going to get to a bunch of the clips of Trump. Got a bunch of big guests as well, haven't mentioned yet, that are all on these topics. But let's play a short clip first. This is Trump. People laugh at this. This isn't done for a joke. He says, hey, we're going to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. We're going to take over Greenland. They took it serious. They ran and got independence from Denmark. Because he wants you to start thinking about manifest destiny. He wants you to start thinking about being proud of yourself. Hey, we're taking back the Panama Canal. We built it. Jimmy Carter gave it to China. No, not doing it. He's exercising power and getting you to have pride. I'm letting folks know America is aggressive, and not militarily, economically. That's the real power. And the statements are meant to put the world on notice, and then they will come and want to join us. Because if you're not expanding, you're contracting. They want to take down George Washington and Thomas Jefferson statues and Benjamin Franklin statues and Teddy Roosevelt statues, which they did. Told you they started with Robert E. Lee. They'd move on to George Washington. And so instead of defending that, how about we take everything away from them? How about we rename all the streets they named after communists after our founders? See, the best defense is an offense. And that's what Trump's doing. And that's what Elon's doing. And that's what I'm doing. How are they going to do when they're too busy getting exposed as pedophiles and stealing money and poison shots? How are they going to fight us when we crush them with their own crimes? They can't. They took that incredible statue down right there. You know where it is now? It's in Terra Lingua. It's in Lajitas, down in South Texas on the Mexican border. It's an incredible statue of Robert E. Lee. All right, here's Trump on the rebirth of America. Here it is.
And we're going to be announcing at a future date pretty soon. We're going to change, because we do most of the work there and it's ours. We're going to be changing, sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate. And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too. And the drugs that are coming through are at record numbers, record numbers.
I've been waiting for this a long time, my little green friend. All right, we are going to go to break. Come back with more, so much more. Ezra Levant on Trudeau and what's coming next in Canada. Mike Yoder on government documents, how they created COVID-19 in 2015, and we're preparing to launch it, and how they planned the COVID attack. We have their documents, how they planned it, how they did it, the smoking gun. Then we have Viva Fry, more on Canada and what's happening. That's big. That's a key globalist going down. And Steve Quayle on the big picture today. Now, please listen to me. Yes, you want to support our sponsor, the AlexJonesStore.com, because it funds this operation. But you want the products there because they really will do incredible things. People have seen me lose 54 pounds in 4 months. They have seen my skin glow, all of it. I am religiously taking the ultimate sea moss at the AlexJonesStore.com that is a private label of the highest quality, strongest concentrate of Irish sea moss with other key known super plant herbal compounds that just do incredible things. The gummies are back in stock. The powdered capsules are there. It is the strongest, highest rated, best you're going to find anywhere. You are insane if you don't take it. You already know how important true iodine is. Most iodine's bound, doesn't get into the cells. This has a special organically based type of it that just does magic things in the parlance. And it's also got other superfoods that are known to do similar things like bladder, whack, and burdock root. And its kissing cousin is turmeric. We have one of the strongest turmerics out there, concentrate over 95%, right at about 95.3% was last test. And then concentrate of a bunch of other key compounds that lower inflammation, supercharge the cardiovascular, the whole body. If you're not taking the strongest turmeric, if you're not taking the strongest Irish sea moss, if you're not taking super high doses of organic vitamin C with iron, you're nuts. We have all three of the products in gummies and powdered capsules, all in stock right now. The AlexJonesStore.com, a total 360 win. The only way you fail is not taking action. Go there now. Oh, and tomorrow's the last day. Every order you make, whether it's a campaign coin, little memorial coins for our victories that are up to $9 to $20, or whether it's a T-shirt or a ball cap, you get 10 entries in to win the incredible off-road beast, turbo diesel Dodge, last one was Dodge, Ford Trimmer, and $10,000 cash. Tomorrow night is the last night when you make a purchase to get put in for that. Anybody that's a VIP gets $40 a month to spend in the store each month. And special deals, special sales, and more. Be sure to become a VIP as well. The AlexJonesStore.com and continue being at the heart of the victory as you finance 1776 worldwide. I love you all. We'll be back with hour number 2 straight ahead. I have been so busy covering the news and all the insane developments that I did not look at the biggest, most amazing sales ever from the great folks at Bigley that power our sponsor site, the AlexJonesStore.com. So let me read off to you the specials that are going right now. The F-250 giveaway trimmer ends Wednesday, the 8th, coming up in just 4 days or less than 4 days. Also, we have a 25% special running right now, site-wide, no code needed, and 10x entries for every dollar spent on top of the regular sales that are going. And free $6 store credit with no minimum spend. 10x entries for the truck every time you buy something as well. Free $6 store credit with no minimum spend. 10x entries. And then the last day, free limited edition black InfoWars hat with every order, no minimum spend, and 10x entries on the last day for the truck. And there's a bunch of other specials. The current 5 limited edition fundraiser posters, the sale on those will end, and we won't make any more on January 6th as well. So these big sales are going, but they're flash sales right now at the AlexJonesStore.com. The very best supplements, incredible Patriot apparel, some of the best designs, and certainly the widest selection anywhere of 4 groups I break it into. Classic Patriot 1776 gear, Alex Jones InfoWars-esque gear, pro-Trump gear, and Patriot comedy limited edition t-shirts, hoodies, ball caps, you name it, because there's over 300 designs right now, but the designs come and go. Now, some of the t-shirts will always be for sale as long as the AlexJonesStore.com is there. They're classics, but most of them are limited edition, one time that you can get, like we had at Christmas or like we had at Halloween. So you want to visit the store every few days because there's so many amazing products. And then the most important thing is your own health. Ultimate Sea Moss. Sea Moss is the ultimate superfood, the best iodine, all the best vitamins and minerals. The way God, made Irish Sea Moss, it just does incredible things for your energy, your stamina, your libido, your focus, your immune system, inflammation, you name it. And speaking of inflammation, we have another incredible superfood, and that is turmeric, with the other concentrated superfood of ginger and black pepper concentrate. Incredible what it does for your body. I'm on it all. People can see how healthy I am. It is amazing. So be sure and get the ultimate turmeric formula as well, and so many other game-changing supplements of the very best out there, private labeled from top firms out there, so it's the best and the very strongest at the lowest price you're going to find for this quality, and it keeps the broadcast on air. The bad guys have tried to shut us down with 3 big events in the last 7 months, and we've barely survived each time because of your support and because of you praying and taking action. And they're trying in the next few weeks to shut us down again. People are like, wow, you survived 3 times. Well, I'm not taking anything for granted. That's why we set up the AJN network in case the InfoWars studios get shut down. I'm shooting that from right there today. So we need your support. Plus, these are great products. It's all available at thealexjonesstore.com. We're changing the world together. Go check out thealexjonesstore.com today, and be sure, if you're going to buy anything to support the broadcast and get great products, that you become a VIP member. It's $30 a month, cancel anytime, month to month, and you get $40 to spend in the store. So you make money. If you're going to be buying things in the store, you make money by being a VIP. You get special discounts, special offers, special sales, all sorts of stuff if you're a member at thealexjonesstore.com. Thank you all for keeping us on the air. Now check out thealexjonesstore.com right now. I don't just like my humanity. I love it. I don't just like you. I love you. And I want you to win. Because a rising tide, as JFK said, raises all ships. All right, Ezra Levant is joining us. He's quite the journalist, also Canadian, and he's an expert on Trudeau and what's happening and how big an event this is for the globalists. And Klaus Schwab saying we penetrate the cabinets. Trudeau is the best example. And yeah, they're going to try to put some other bad people in, but it's happening everywhere. And it'll tie to Keir Starmer, the British government starting to say we may just pull out of our special relationship with the United States, meaning they're in all our spy grids. Good. And the example Elon Musk has given to everybody to go after the globalists with their serious crimes. They're the weak ones. They're the bad ones. But I want to play it, just start getting more of these clips of Trump. There's a whole bunch of clips of him on economic optimism, the golden age of America, and so much more. Let's play a few of those clips right now.
We're a party of common sense, and things that I'm telling you now is really all about common sense. On January 20th, we'll turn the economy around very quickly, because right now when I think of our economy, I think about inflation. That's what we have. We have inflation, I believe, at a level that we never had before. There's never been anything like it. And over the next 4 years, the United States is going to take off like a rocket ship. But really, it's already doing it. If you take a look, just last month, SoftBank announced the $200 billion. I think it'll be 200. He said between 100, and I said, how about making it 200? And he sort of said yes, but let's say it's 100, but it might be 200, right, Brian? Dollars, United States, creating more than 100,000 jobs. Hussein just announced a tremendous investment that he's going to make, and that's money that's in the bank. He's going to come and do it, and he'll do a great job, and he'll build the best centers in the country, I guarantee, because I know the way he builds. Since my election, the stock market has set records. The S&P 500 index has broken above 6,000 points for the first time ever, never even close. In a single month, small business optimism soared 41 points. It's not a 41. It went up 41 points. And that's the largest in the 39-year history of the group that does it. According to Gallup, the American people's confidence in the economy has just surged to the highest level in history. That's why I have a news conference like that. I take the greatest business leaders in the world. I say, hey, do you want to say you're going to invest the money? They're not looking for news conferences. They're saying, what am I doing here? They go in and they invest money. But it's good to know where the smartest business people in the world are investing, and they're investing in the United States. So we are at the beginning of a great, beautiful golden age of business. And I think we're also at a golden age of common sense, because everything I'm saying to you, from a simple water faucet that doesn't allow water to come out appropriately, to all of the other elements of what we do and what we're going to do, to take 50 to 60 trillion dollars off our country's balance sheet because some man that has no idea what he's doing has no idea.
Oh, his controllers know. Tens of billions to put fiber optic in and no fiber optics put in. I mean, it goes on and on. And yeah, Biden did just sign the deal to ban the manufacture of range stoves. Remember, a few years ago, they denied that was their plan. It was, they were openly saying they were going to do it. It's being proposed by the Department of Energy. They just did that. So they've been sabotaging. That's what the Great Reset is a post-industrial world. The Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit, 92 in Rio de Janeiro. The globalists wrote the damn treaty. That's what we've been under. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I've explained 1,000 times or more in the last few decades, whether you're in America or Germany or Russia or South Africa or Australia or Mexico or Brazil or Greenland or Libya, whether you're in Israel or Turkey, whether you are in the Netherlands or whether you are in India or China, you need to care about the rest of the world because it affects you. If space aliens, God forbid, it's hypothetical, showed up next Tuesday and vaporized Moscow or obliterated Los Angeles, you know everybody else in the rest of the world would be concerned because they have empathy. They're nice people on average, but even the sociopaths would be really concerned because, well, obviously we're next. So when you see Klaus Schwab, the corporate arm of the UN globalist death cult, that's what they are, the post-industrial world dehumanist eugenics cult, saying Trudeau, the outgoing leader of Canada, is the greatest example of what they want and how they penetrate the cabinets. He penetrates half the cabinets. He said a few years ago at the Kennedy Center with David Gergen. When their minions all over the world go down, like Keir Starmer, I predict within 30 days will be gone. AFD gone the next year. It takes a while with their parliament system. I mean, AFD will get rid of the current system, and it'll be an ongoing fight after that. But AFD gone from obscurity to preeminence. The alternative Deutschland. I told you all this was happening, and I told Elon Musk and Trump on air and off air that you must go on offensive against the pedophile rings that are in the intelligence networks. You must bring that down. That's how you bring them down, because they'll keep attacking you and us and starting wars and all the rest of it until we've obliterated them. And Musk has been attacking them for a while. So is Trump. Tom Homan's coming in. The borders are. They're going after even the administration for the criminal smuggling. Mayorkas, all of them. And notice when he really turned the heat up and showed that Starmer, on record for 15 years as the CPS head, covered up to 1 million children being raped by Islamic grooming, rape, sex slavery operations, and that a lot of other sectors and the British establishment are involved in it. They just use the Muslims as their grassroots procurers and pimps. That's the Achilles heel of these people, and it's the right thing to do. And now it's all happening. And so Starmer has his spokespersons come out and say, well, we'll just leave our special relationship and not have a military and intelligence system with the United States. They're not going to do that. They need us 1,000 times more than we need them. But the point is, That is the panic button being hit. We cannot be merciful with the globalists politically because they're not going to stop. They've got to be removed. We have to dislodge them, and we are. And you've got Zuckerberg saying, oh, I'm going to be like Elon. I'm going to bring in community notes. I'm sorry for all this ownership. I told him he better capitulate 6 months ago, and he started the process. Jeff Bezos, all of them, at least publicly, because the Great Awakening's here. The new Renaissance is here. We've turned the tide. We have the initiative. And Trudeau is the first big domino. And now it's accelerating. Instead of the EU trying to indict Musk and all their billion-dollar fines, now where are they? In panic mode, all coming to Keir Starmer's aid. With fear in their eyes, because they should be afraid. They pushed the lockdowns, the poison shots. Van der Leyden, the head of the unelected EU Commission, got all that money from Pfizer. It's all criminal. So Ezra Levant, an incredible journalist in Canada, but also worldwide from Rebel News. Be sure to follow him on X. We'll put it all on screen. Joins us to break down what's happened to Trudeau, his accurate predictions he'd be gone by early January, and then the fight of who they'll try to replace him with and how big this is historically. Here's the clip, though, of the resignation being announced by the man-child, the globalist protege, the golden boy of the New World Order, Trudeau, yesterday morning.
I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the president of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election. Mes chers amis, comme vous savez, je suis un fighter.
He did not step down. They said they would remove him this week if he did not do that. So I think it's important with all this huge news to give you the floor here, Ezra Levant. But first, I want you to talk about just a snapshot. I know it's hard because there's so much of the type of tyrant, why he's the model of the globalist, what he's done to Canada, and the crimes he's committed so that people understand what we're facing. Because what has been done to the UK, what's been done to Germany, what's been done to Canada, they admit is the model for everyone else. Ezra Levant.
Great to be back on the show. By the way, it's great to see you looking so fit and energetic again, my friend, and congratulations on your recent successes. Let's talk about Trudeau. You saw his announcement. When I first heard it, I thought, oh, he's resigning, but no. He says he'll resign sometime in the future. What he really did was ask the Governor General of Canada, that's the King's representative in Canada. Remember, Canada is still a parliamentary democracy, to dissolve the parliament. They were going to vote tomorrow to sack him. He preempted that by saying to the Governor General, dissolve parliament so the MPs, the members of parliament, can't get together to vote non-confidence in me. So he's actually ruling by executive order now, almost like he's ruling by decree. There will be a leadership vote in the Liberal Party of Canada sometime in the future. We don't know exactly when. But let me tell you a shocking fact about that, Alex. The Liberal Party of Canada, who will elect Trudeau's successor, and that person will become prime minister right away before there's even a general election. They allow foreign citizens to vote. They allow people as young as 14 years old to vote. So our version of the CIA, it's called CSIS, discovered that in the last Canadian election, there were 11 electoral districts where there was foreign interference that made a difference. In one case, the People's Republic of China bussed in foreign nationals into a primary nomination, selected a pro-Communist Party candidate who then went on to become a member of parliament. So when you allow foreign nationals to vote as young as 14 years old, that's going to be gamed by foreign actors, whether it's Iran or China. So that's something to watch for. Who will succeed Trudeau? You asked me another question. Let me answer it really quickly. You said, Why is Trudeau so bad? Well, I got a lot of reasons. Number one, as you already alluded to, he was a big World Economic Forum man. Klaus Schwab boasted that half of the members of Trudeau's cabinet were part of the WEF. It's true. In fact, the number 2 under Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland, to this day, she's on the board of directors of the World Economic Forum. Her name is Chrystia Freeland. She was actually, before she got into politics, she was the authorized biographer of George Soros. So Trudeau has been one of the worst globalists in the world. He's opened up mass immigration. You think you have mass immigration in the US, Alex? We have proportionately even more, but it's being, quote, legal. Trudeau's just let them in. And I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, I'm sure you do remember, it was the whole world saw it, when Trudeau was going very authoritarian during the lockdowns, when he had a no-fly list, you couldn't get on a plane if you weren't jabbed, when he was cracking down on people viciously, you had to download a digital ID app even to travel in and out of the country. A group of truckers said this has gone too far, and they started a trucker convoy to Ottawa just to park and honk their horns. It was amazing. The whole country was inspired. Trudeau hated it. He tried to graft on that January 6th insurrection narrative that the American Democrats had used, but the truckers didn't cooperate with that. They were exemplary. They had hot tubs and bouncy castles, and they were waving the flag and singing the anthem. So Trudeau panicked. He pushed the panic button, and he invoked martial law using something called the Emergencies Act. For the first time in Canadian history, we didn't even use that law during 9/11. Trudeau deployed riot horses to stomp on the peaceful protesters. He seized hundreds of bank accounts of peaceful protesters with no legal process. It was truly a mask drop moment, and people wonder if Trudeau is the son of Fidel Castro. I don't know if he is genetically, but I tell you, morally, they're identical. Trudeau is a tyrant, and he tried to crush peaceful protesters. So thankfully, Canadians have woken up after nearly 10 years of the man. And you can see he doesn't want to leave the stage. So he didn't actually resign yesterday. At first glance, I thought he did, but no, if you listen carefully, he's just got the Governor General to dissolve Parliament so he can sort of rule at will for at least the next 90 days and perhaps longer. So that's a quick update from Canada.
Well, I want to raise this point. We just saw a few days ago Musk point out something that most Americans don't know. Even a lot of Canadians don't seem to understand this about, quote, commonwealths or countries that really aren't really commonwealths but really still are, that the Governor Generals in places like Canada can dissolve Parliament at the request of the Prime Minister. And in the UK, the King of England and his council, Privy Council, can do it. And so that's very important for people to understand. So he says he'll resign, but as I was alluding to, and you went into the technicals, that's so they can try to put their people in the interim, and who knows what other draconian type of executive orders put in place. He's the guy that famously said he admires Xi Jinping in China because it's a basic dictatorship and can get things done. This is a true totalitarian that we're dealing with. So for people that don't understand that, let's walk back through specifically what Trudeau did. Because I mean, what's the headline there? I think that's what people need to. Trudeau pulls a fast one, doesn't really resign in plan to rule as a dictator in interim. I mean, this is sensational.
Well, there are still some checks and balances on him. He's still subject to the courts and things like that. But our Parliament is like your Congress, and our Parliament was about to vote non-confidence in him, which would basically force an election call. I suppose an analogy would be, it would be as if your Congress was about to impeach the president and then remove him. So it was that dramatic. Trudeau was going to be fired by hundreds of legislators, even in his own party. That's what's so interesting, Alex. Even liberals were sick of him, which is quite incredible. So he preempted them. He had a sneak attack. He said, I'm not letting you get together to vote me out. It would be as if Bill Clinton in some way, right before he was about to be impeached, had some power to dissolve Congress. That's what Trudeau did. Literally tomorrow, his own party caucus was set to meet and demand that he quit.
Okay, so I understand your parliamentary system. I've studied it, but I know you know a lot more than I do because it's very complex. That's why our founders went with our system, because they'd seen the parliaments in the UK and other places. Quantify it then, because a headline says it all, and I'm going to put this out. Quantify it. Trudeau pulls a fast one, doesn't really resign in desperate bid to maintain his party's control. I mean, this is so bad, how do we quantify it?
I wouldn't even say his party's control, his personal control. He has a disdain even for his own members of parliament, just like his father did. Remember his father, Pierre Trudeau, who was a Marxist also, an anti-American, pro-Cuba Marxist. You got to remember that Justin Trudeau comes by his communism, honestly. He inherited from his father. During the Cold War, Pierre Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada for 16 years, was always a thorn in the side. He took his kids to Siberia during the Soviet Union and said, this is the future. Justin Trudeau and his brother, Alexandre, who's his foreign policy advisor, they love communist China. In fact, they've tried to remove Canada from an American orbit and put it in a Chinese orbit.
And we've had his other brother on that, points out he's really a bad guy. So help me, because this is so huge. And that's why I wanted to get you on, because I knew he was doing it as a manipulation to try to have more power. How long can he hang on? But that's the second question. Give me the headline, because it's not just a headline for this interview we put it out. I need to understand what you're saying. I
would say don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Trudeau didn't actually resign. Now, and to make sure he couldn't be fired, he got the Governor General to dissolve Parliament at least until March 24th. So on March 24th, the Parliament will resume. And maybe they will be able to vote non-confidence in him. But I got one more wrinkle here for you. Justin Trudeau has never actually been as popular as he would pretend and as the media would suggest. In fact, in the last Canadian election, he only got 33% of the vote. How can you win a government with 33% of the vote? Well, he didn't really. He had what we call a minority government. So he has had a dirty deal with the outright Socialist Party in Canada to give him a working majority. He wouldn't have enough votes to do anything if he didn't have his allies in that hard left-wing party. They finally got sick of him too. That's why Trudeau panicked. But Trudeau has 90 days to kiss and make up with the socialists to perhaps live on. I got one more thing to tell you about. It's a bit of a warning. If Trudeau's time is up, and I think in the end he will be forced out, he can only hide for so long. I think he'll be forced out before the end of the summer. But that's an awful lot of time for him to do a lot of damage, like I say, through executive orders, through appointments. And we don't have the same check and balances as you Americans do. So Trudeau can make appointments. We don't have a vacancy on our Supreme Court right now, but we have 8 vacancies in our Canadian Senate. Trudeau can appoint those. They're not elected in Canada. Imagine stacking 8 of your buddies in the Senate. He can make all sorts of appointments, all sorts of sole source contracts. He can shove hundreds of millions of dollars out the door, including, by the way, to the World Economic Forum. Justin Trudeau was the pride of the World Economic Forum. I got one last thing to tell you, and you're going to find this hard to believe. Early in Justin Trudeau's term, he was elected in 2015. In January 2016, he went to Davos. He met George Soros there in person. And he came to an agreement with Soros to have a contract to outsource Canadian immigration and refugee policy to the Open Societies Foundation in New York City. He literally signed a contract to give George Soros in America control over Canadian immigration policy. They signed the contract.
Now, Ezra, I actually knew that, but the public doesn't, even in Canada. Elon just discovered yesterday what I exposed decades ago, what Lou Dobbs really, who I first learned it from in 2005-06. People don't know that in the EU and even under Democrats in the United States and all over the world, that they get the State Departments of countries or its counterpart to sign on to his NGO that controls the sub-NGOs that Trump and Tom Homan have said they're going to criminally go after because they're given the administrative control. You go to the Texas border, it is the big Soros NGOs running it, ordering the Border Patrol and National Guard around. So I know that, you know that, but Elon investigated it yesterday and said, I can't believe this. It's actually true about the UK. Keir Starmer, they've given, off and on full control to Soros. The Zodiac boats coming into Spain, coming into Italy, coming into Greece. The Zodiac boats coming across from France, across the English Channel, into the White Cliffs of Dover. That's all these Soros NGOs. And as you said, specifically with Canada, directly with the top NGO, not even the sub-NGOs. But as people awaken to this, now we can see it get dislodged.
You mentioned Keir Starmer. That's the new Labour Prime Minister who's been in power since July. Ironically, their election was the 4th of July, Alex. I don't know if you've seen the clip. I bet you have because you're a voracious reader. But Keir Starmer was once asked which he prefers, Westminster, that's what they call their parliament, or Davos. Have you ever seen that clip?
Yes.
It's incredible. And he said he prefers Davos because, I forget and then he went on to explain it a bit. He said because he likes the crowd better, it's easier to get things done. The new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom literally said he prefers to do business in a secretive crypto government in Switzerland.
We'll pull the clip up. I haven't seen it in a few months. It's Keir Starmer prefers Davos. That will pull the clip up. Keep going. I want to come back and talk about Starmer, talk about Musk, talk about Trump's agenda, talk about Trump, and his thing about Canada, economic deal, and more. But getting back to Trudeau, people want to hear this, and I understood some of this. That's why I wanted to ask you. But this is sensationally bad that the media is acting like he's going to be gone all of a sudden, but really he's got all these manipulations. What do we need to do? What do you need to do in Canada? What are the mechanisms to put heat on him and get the fact out there that he's pulled a fast one?
I think he can't hold on forever. We know he can hold on for 90 days. The Governor General will recall Parliament on March 24th. Then the question will be, has Trudeau managed to do another deal with the Socialist Party? And he always has. He's been able to do that deal basically for 9 years. I think Trudeau's own Liberals, believe it or not, a lot of them don't like Trudeau anymore. Not that they changed their mind on policy. It's just that they see he's low in the polls. Right now, Justin Trudeau is at 16%, 16% in the polls. He's blown everything up. Alex, not only has he wrecked the economy, inflation, high housing prices, high grocery prices, not only has he quadrupled immigration, but he's put us on the wrong side internationally. He's anti-American. Trudeau is anti-Trump for sure. He's pro-China. He's put us against India, the world's largest democracy.
It's great reset.
Absolutely, and Trudeau uses that language. Hey, Alex, I don't know if you remember a year ago when I was in Davos. Every year Rebel News goes to Davos for the World Economic Forum. We're going again. I'm going to pop by Washington for the inaugural, but then I'm flying directly to Switzerland because I love covering the World Economic Forum. They've refused to accredit us inside, but we report on the outside. I know we got to take a break in 30 seconds, but remember what I told you last year. I said the only two names on everyone's lips were Trump and Musk. Trump, because he's going to smash their New World Order, and Musk, because he's going to enable it through freedom of speech. They saw early the threat of Trump and Musk. It'll be fascinating to see what they have to say days after the inaugural.
Oh, they're going to be like chickens with their heads cut off. Stay there. Ezra Levant is on fire. Rebelnews.com. Stay with us. My fellow Americans, my fellow InfoWarriors, we are announcing something right now that is one of the most exciting things we've ever done in the history of financing the InfoWar. We have launched at thealexjonesstore.com an affiliate program where you get 10% paid out each month at thealexjonesstore.com. You just go sign up. It's free. You get the link. You add it to other posts you make, or you can post links to the products, the T-shirts, the ball caps, just all of it, the supplements. And when people buy, you get 10%. This is so exciting. This is revolutionary. The globalists absolutely hate it. Make money while you fight to keep the truth on the air and get people great products. A total 360 win at thealexjonesstore.com. We are witnessing the global revolution against the New World Order death cult go into escape velocity like a heavy starship lifting off, first moving just a few feet a second, and then accelerating to 30,000 miles an hour into the blue yonder of space. Unstoppable velocity. We are on the cusp of the beginning of total victory. Freedom is contagious. Courage is contagious. And I am so honored with this incredible audience of activists worldwide to be the heart of the resistance. This is history. This is important. This is our entire children's and progeny's future, and we are taking control of our destiny back from the globalists. People look at adult men painting themselves up and screaming and yelling at sports games, and they say, that's what a man does. No, you're supposed to get excited about standing up for your family, your country, your freedom. Ezra Levant, I want to play a short clip because you can't play it up with Trudeau here is saying he admires Communist China and their basic dictatorship to get things done. And now he's done this ploy saying he's going to resign and brought in the governor general in a gamble to try to stay in power. And the media is not really even picking it up. But the New York Times says, oh, he's hurting his party by doing this. They understand that him trying to hold on in the end will only make it worse. And looks like that party may be extinct after this and never get back into power. I tend to agree with that. They're not saying that, obviously, trying to help liberty. They're saying it because it's damaging the establishment. I think Keir Starmer trying to hold on to power will have the same effect. We'll get into Davos. What's coming up? Incredible coups you've had confronting the world leaders when you catch them outside, not just in government, but in industry like Albert Bourla of Pfizer and more in a moment. But first, here's that clip of Trudeau.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime.
Oh, how nice. So, Ezra, you got interrupted by the break. You were getting into Davos. We have the clip of Keir Starmer in a moment, also saying what you said. I mean, this is truly disgusting. But Starmer himself, talk about a villain. You couldn't create one in fiction like this. 15 years as a magistrate, the head CPS magistrate, literally in whole states of England, no prosecutions in a year with thousands of rapes per town, and then prosecuting people that exposed it. And people that don't know Tommy Robinson's 15-year saga, watching this next to his business in a little town and having his own family targeted by the Islamic rape gangs and being persecuted, and this entire battle year at a film exposing it, now in prison for it, in solitary confinement. And just, there's so much to talk about here with Ezra Levant. Please continue.
You know, remember a few months ago, there was a stabbing in the United Kingdom. It was a little girl's Taylor Swift-themed play date. And an Islamic extremist burst in and started stabbing and murdering, injured a bunch of girls, murdered 3. It was an atrocious disaster. It was an Islamic attack. Everyone knew it. And immediately, Keir Starmer suppressed everything and said that the police went to work prosecuting, charging, convicting, jailing anyone who had tweeted about it, anyone who claimed it was an Islamic attack. By the way, it was. He was a convert to Islam, but he was Islamic. Keir Starmer set up something I've never seen in my life before, Alex, at least not in a free country. He immediately set up 24-hour-a-day courts. Like, he just snapped his finger and it was done. And they bam, 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 arrested hundreds of people for tweeting, for posting on Facebook or Instagram things like, I don't feel safe anymore, or our police aren't even on our side anymore. And the police started boasting about who they had jailed. And the stories were crazy, like gesticulating at a cop or shouting at a police dog. Now, I don't think you should shout at a dog.
They're giving people 7-year prison sentences that criticize the Islamic murder of the taxi cab driver.
Less than some of these rapists get. But my point is, Keir Starmer, when he wants to enforce the law, he's brutal. Like, have you ever heard of someone setting up 24-hour-a-day courts just to ram through maximum number of, and these are white working class Brits who, I mean, they have DEI hardwired in their country. And that's the problem with these rape gangs. It was, and I don't know if you've seen the clip by Majid Nawaz on LBC Radio Network. Should be easy to find. He talks about why they got away with it. Majid Nawaz is a British Pakistani man. And he says because it was Pakistani men raping working class white girls, everyone was afraid to talk about it for fear of being called racist. And so Tommy Robinson filled the void because all the official people were too afraid to. In the end, believe it or not, some Pakistani Muslim men in the UK said, well, you can't call me racist. I'm going to talk about it. Majid Nawaz talks about it. They actually appointed a prosecutor who was a Pakistani Brit himself. Everyone's so afraid of calling it out. They've allowed hundreds of thousands of girls to be raped because no one wanted to say anything lest they be called racist. That is woke policing, woke journalism, woke social welfare. Everyone knew what was going on, Alex, but no one dared say it. That's what Elon Musk has detonated. And that's why Twitter is so important, X is so important, because they finally can't censor it anymore. And we'll see if Zuckerberg is true to his word when he says he's going to liberate again. But I think the rejuvenation of freedom of speech through social media is the most important freedom victory of our lifetime, and you yourself are a fruit of that. They tried to unperson you, and now you're back, baby, and I love to see it.
Well, absolutely, and it's the right thing to do to expose all these pedophile rings, not just the Islamic ones, and now the intelligence agencies have been caught everywhere involved in it, but England has been known for decades as ruling using the pedophile rings. And Jimmy Savile and just all the cover-ups and the BBC and all of it, and Keir Starmer at the heart of this for decades. And then Tommy exposes it and makes a film about it, and they order him not to release it, and then they throw him in jail. But when he was sent to prison, it had like 40 million views. Now it's up to, 200 million last time I checked, just one version of his film silenced. So it's not going well, but in solitary confinement. I know he's done one interview, and we've played some of the audio. We'll play some in a moment, but this is really rough. The last time he was in solitary confinement for a year and a half ago, 5 years ago he got out, he lost like 35 pounds, and he's not a fat guy. I mean, this is hardcore. Let's talk about Tommy. I know you're going to be over there soon interviewing here. You were kind enough to invite me to go. I may be able to go. But I'm pinned down here battling their ongoing attempts to shut down InfoWars. I've been so busy, I haven't given updates on that. There's been big developments, but soon I'll have some time. But we're not that important when it comes to that. Plus, we have backup Alex Jones Network. But, I mean, talk about how Tommy's doing.
Sure. Well, remember, he is a civil prisoner. That's an unusual thing. Normally, we think someone in prison is a criminal that committed a crime. In this case, as you properly point out, he's in prison because he showed a movie that a judge said, don't you do that. The judge issued an order to Tommy saying, don't publish that movie. And Tommy said, I'm a journalist at heart. The research speaks for itself. I'm going to publish it. And so the judge says, all right, we're going to hold you in contempt of court. I was there when he was sentenced. And at that point in time, I think it had 55 million views on X. And the judge says, I'm going to throw the book at you. If you take it down now, I'll lop 3 months off your sentence. And Tommy refused. He was so committed to his freedom and to that message, he literally said, do your worst. And the judge did. The judge gave him the maximum sentence allowed under law, which for a civil prisoner is unheard of, literally unprecedented. But here's how it gets worse. Like I say, civil prisoners, so you have more rights than a criminal prisoner. You get to wear your own clothes. You have more visitors, etc. It's sort of like, I don't know, it would be like in America if you didn't pay child support, or if you got in trouble for not having a fishing license. Like, it's breaking the law, but it's not a crime. But because Tommy is a target of prison gangs, the prison doesn't know what to do with them. So they emptied out their solitary confinement ward, 16 cells, and they put Tommy in one of them. So he's there in solitary confinement. I mean, I suppose he's safe from the prison gangs, but he's in the worst part of the prison. They only let him out once a day for exercise and to have a shower. And you go crazy. I mean, he will serve at least 9 months in solitary. You cannot do 9 months of solitary, Alex. And remember, he's supposed to have the lightest form of imprisonment because he's not even there as a criminal. He is being put, you know what solitary is really for? That's where you put someone who's in prison already and he gets into a fight or he threatens a guard. How do you punish a guy who's already in prison? You put him in the hole, or down the block, as they say in the UK. You don't put him down the block or in the hole for 9 months because you don't know what else to do with him. He'll go mad. It is a form of psychological torture, and he's about 2 months in now. So one of the things we're doing at Rebel News is we're crowdfunding a prison lawyer to take the prison to court, and we're hoping to get that happening fairly quickly. We have to go through certain processes, but we're trying to get Tommy out of solitary. That in itself should be, whether you like Tommy or not, the fact that a journalist is in solitary confinement for publishing a movie should cause everyone around the world concern, even if you disagree with the movie.
You're absolutely right. Let's talk about Elon Musk here for a minute. The total game changer, just devastating the open borders, devastating the depopulation plan, devastating the poison shots, devastating the worldwide pedophile rings, ramming Trump over the top despite all the censorship and fraud. And then I notice he's being attacked a lot by the so-called right wing, who are talking about how the strong man could have done better. I'm concerned about Musk making statements about, well, we're going to use an algorithm against negativity because you can define that even worse, and misapply it like you can do fake news. I think leaving it free and open is what has made X explode, me number one, which obviously it has. Zuckerberg's now capitulating, saying he's going to copy Musk. I don't know if that's going to be true. We're going to test it today or tomorrow, going back on Facebook. I think he's going to ban me right away, but we'll continue to push him, kind of like Musk got pushed to bring me back about 13 months ago. But just in general, the game changer, Elon Musk, and now Trump in that press conference, incredible today. I mean, looking at history here, this is really right now the moment that the whole globalist system went from being on total defense, falling apart in deep trouble, to sinking, and it is the beginning of the final end of them, in my view. But I am concerned, if you talk about Elon, about what the globalists are going to do to try to maintain power. They're trying to launch new pandemics. They're trying to accelerate war with Russia. They're doing a lot of things.
You know what? And look at Europe. They're in full panic mode. Keir Starmer of the UK, Emmanuel Macron of France, Norway, Germany, all these countries are basically saying, how dare an American interfere? But what's Musk actually done other than speak? And so if an American in America, speaking on an American social platform, if these Europeans think they can somehow punish Elon Musk, all he's done in those countries is speak. He wrote an op-ed in a German newspaper, Die Welt, and that the editor resigned. They're in a fury. The Europeans don't know how to handle Musk because they can't bully him through lawfare and overregulation now that Trump's around. It's a wonderful combination, and I say again, the World Economic Forum knew the challenge to them a year ago. They were ahead of the curve. They knew that tag team of Musk and Trump would spell their end. Hey, let me talk just for 1 second about Canada, because I know time's limited here, but let me tell you what Trudeau, one of his legacies. Canada's a proud place. Canada has a great history. I mean, we conquered. We developed a cold northern country. During D-Day, we had our own beach, Juno Beach. There was Utah and Sword and all the others. Canada was punching above our weight. Yeah, I think Canada has a lot to be proud of, but Trudeau doesn't agree. He started to deracinate our country, to cut the roots. He said we were a post-national country. I don't know if you know that, Alex. He said there's no core ideas in Canada. And then he went from saying we're nothing positive to saying we were negative. He accused Canada of committing genocide against the Indigenous people. Trudeau removed our founding prime minister, Sir John A. Macdonald, from the $10 bill. That would be like removing George Washington from the U.S. bill. Could you imagine doing that? And Trudeau turned our military into like a stunt. He would send them just really for photo ops. So Trudeau has spent almost 10 years saying Canada means nothing. Anyone can come here. We'll give anyone a passport. Anyone's welcome in immigration. So for 10 years, he's destroyed nationalism and pride and patriotism. And here's what's happened in the last month. Donald Trump said, oh, really? So you don't have an identity, eh? You're post-national. Well, why don't you join us? We can be rich together. Makes a lot of sense, a lot of cultural congruity. And so many Canadian liberals are panicking. Oh, this is outrageous. This is outrageous. You were the one who said Canada didn't have any essence, that we were salt, that had lost its saltiness. So what's amazing is Donald Trump's tweets. That's all Trump's done. He sent a few tweets poking at Trudeau, calling Canada the 51st state. And all these liberals are outraged. Really? Well, maybe you found your nationalism and your patriotism again. And all it took was Donald Trump. What do you think of that?
And that's exactly what Trump wants. And then I said this weeks ago, then he has Kevin O'Leary and others come out and say, actually, we just want to do more economic deals with you. He first puts the pressure on with the threat of tariffs to get their attention. And then now he's like, hey, let's be successful together. Let me hit this because you mentioned it about Keir Starmer, Ezra, in closing. They've come out and said it's disinformation, which is an open-ended term to say that Elon is lying, which everything he's saying is true. He's just documenting, putting court documents up and clips of the House of Lords and witnesses and admissions and all of it. And then they come out and say, well, you're meddling in our elections. So are the Germans, as you just mentioned. But it's the EU coming and trying to do billion-dollar fines on Musk and all the rest of it. Musk has been forced to go over there and point out the tyranny, and it's a good thing. America is supposed to be promoting freedom worldwide, and in Germany, a woman gets raped, and the Islamicist doesn't get in trouble, and she gets prison time for pointing out he's an illegal alien. But then Soros was billed by The Guardian and the Times of London as a hero trying to stop.
And Bill Gates is over there, too. Bill Gates just met with Keir Starmer a few weeks ago.
Exactly. So this idea is preposterous. So here's some of the headlines. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer may cut Britain's security ties with the U.S. unless Trump distances himself from Musk. That's panic mode. The Guardian's view of Musk and the UK politics, interference in plain sight. So that's what they just said a couple days ago. Well, here it is. Here's all the Soros headlines out of The Guardian, how Soros is helping, and Soros is a friend of the UK to stop the evil nationalists. So there they are openly saying a few years ago, oh, we want this to happen. Globalist stooge George Soros is trying to save the UK from itself. I called him a stooge. Vanity Fair was, it was a good thing. Suddenly globalists exist. Globalist George Soros is trying to save the UK from itself. London Guardian, right here, George Soros, Brexit hurts both sides. My money was used to educate the British public. So that's all good. That's all wonderful. But the truth is, nobody is buying into it. I don't think Keir Starmer is going to be able to hang on long. What do you think, Ezra Levant?
Well, look, he just had his election on the 4th of July, so he's pretty early in his term. But the Brits have a similar parliamentary system to the one we have here. So it's possible for the members of parliament in his own party to chuck him out. Now, I don't think they're at that point yet. They got to get a little bit more scared about losing the next election. But he has plummeted in the polls. He's tone deaf. He really is a bad politician. And he's, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but he's decided to take on the farmers. I don't know if you saw that. They had a massive farmers rally in the heart of London because Starmer wants to put a massive inheritance tax on farms, so you couldn't give it from father to son. Oh,
that's all part of the WEF public plan in the Netherlands, Ireland, Sri Lanka, to get rid of half the farms. John Kerry, the climate czar, said it last year. He said, we need to cut half the farming or people will starve. That's oxymoronic. I need to strangle you or you'll suffocate. I mean, it's just amazing. And they're up in arms, and Bill Gates wants to genetically engineer all the cows so they don't fart methane. I mean, this is crazy.
So Keir Starmer's making every mistake he can, but just yesterday he had a press conference where he said anyone who's worried about these rape gangs is, quote, far right. And that's their phrase for alt-right or racist. That's how they say it in the UK. But and there are some really right-wing folks who don't like it, but there's a lot of left-wing folks and there's a lot of non-political folks. The girls, and they're girls. They're not women. These are girls as young as 9. They're not.
Yeah, so that's like Biden calling Trump supporters garbage. It's totally backfired.
Yeah, and I'm worried about Nigel Farage. I like Nigel Farage. I love the fact he got Brexit done. I love the fact that he's fighting against debanking. He was debanked, and he made a fuss about it, and he really took on the banks. I love Nigel Farage, but I think he's a little too worried about peer pressure. So instead,
he's saying they got to capitulate to Muslims, and Tommy Robinson's not good. It's insane. Ezra Levant, we'll be following your work in D.C. on inauguration and on Davos. Maybe I'll be there with you. Ezra, rebelnews.com. Incredible job. Thank you so much.
See you later, my friend.
Amazing. That guy is so smart. We love him. Wow. His team is so incredible. All right. We're going to start the next hour. Other big guests are coming up. I got a bunch of Trump clips from his press conference. It's all coming up here today. Now, a lot of people, a lot of Trends on X and other places are saying, what is going on with Alex Jones? Was he replaced with a clone? Is he on Ozempic? No, it's still me, and I'm not on Ozempic. Are you kidding? I don't want a heart attack. No, I have changed my diet. I'm exercising 7 days a week. I'm drinking a lot of water, and I'm taking all of my supplements. And stopping drinking alcohol was also a big one. And it's been almost 5 months. I worked out this morning. and I go on big hikes. But I'm telling you, without the supplements, none of this could happen. And ladies and gentlemen, Irish sea moss is already recognized as one of the top superfoods out there. Some argue the top superfood. I'd say hemp has incredible properties as well, but they're different. Okay, and the molecules in it are amazing. But sea moss is just special the way it grows, the way the Irish sea moss develops. It has this special form of iodine that the body loves, that's organic, goes right into the cells. It's got all the vitamins, all the minerals, not just the ones they say are essential, but a bunch of others. It is a superfood. And our Ultimate Sea Moss is a private label of one of the top companies in the nation. That's what my sponsors, what we do. We go out and say, what's already top? What's already the highest rated? Let's see if they'll let us private label. And most of the time they're fans, and this big company let us do it. We have the gummies, we have the powdered capsules at the AlexJonesStore.com. They is super concentrate of the Irish sea moss and a bunch of other known superfoods that synergistically work with its super herbs, and you need to get it. It's up to 50% off right now. Big sale, biggest ever, on 3 bottles, 45% on 2 bottles, 40% on 1 bottle of the gummies that are back in stock and on the powder capsules. And they're even stronger, but people love the gummies. They taste great. They're great for kids, you name it. But if you want to experience really high quality special iodine, the way God produces it, it's in the sea moss. You need to get it. Ultimate Sea Moss at thealexjonesstore.com. And turmeric. Now, I was already taking the InfoWars turmeric. That's also 95% curcuminoid. This is the same, but it's got a bunch of other stuff like concentrated, super strong ginger and black pepper extract concentrate that all are on record doing similar things to turmeric. So you put 3 of these things that are super anti-inflammatory, super anti-cancer, super good for your heart, your brain, your cardiovascular. I mean, it's incredible. Ginger's another superfood. So is all the other compounds that are in this. So you really want to get the ultimate turmeric formula. The turmeric, the ginger, the black pepper, and more. Concentrated, super strong, ultimate turmeric at the AlexJonesStore.com. And while you're at it, really high quality iron with super strong organic vitamin C that supercharges everything. Linus Pauling won a Nobel Prize over it. This is similar to his formula. Get yours now, and great t-shirts, great hoodies, great ball caps. Tomorrow, for one day, everybody that orders gets a free limited edition InfoWars ball cap. There's another big sale today going on right now. It's all insane. And if you go to the AlexJonesStore.com, become a VIP member for $30 a month. You get special deals, special sales, special offers on products nobody else can get, limited edition knives, you name it. And you get $40 a month to spend. So if you're going to buy anything there, you want to get the membership, because then you save $40 on what you're going to be buying and make $10 right there. So become a VIP member. You just sign up. It's free. You just click it, $30 a month. Cancel any time. It's all there. What's free is, and tomorrow's the last day, is you can go put your email in and you get 1 entry to win the new Ford Super Truck Turbo Diesel Trimmer and $10,000 cash. Or when you buy products, you get put 10x in today and tomorrow to win the truck. This is our second big deal on that. So take advantage of it now, today, at the AlexJonesStore.com, and it funds this operation, crushing the New World Order, a 360 win. I've got a very simple but important, powerful, and completely truthful proposal for you. Keep InfoWars on the air. Keep our broadcast fighting the globalists at this critical time in history, and massively increase your overall health, your vibrancy, your stamina, your libido, everything. Ladies and gentlemen, sea moss, Irish sea moss specifically, is known as one of the top, if not the top, superfoods on the planet. It certainly gives hemp a run for its money. And what it does to the body is just incredible. Well, the sea moss we have at the AlexJonesStore.com is a private label of one of the top-rated, strongest sea moss formulas in the country. So we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're bringing you the known top superfood from a top producer that our great sponsors at the AlexJonesStore.com have gotten the authorization, because the owners of the formula like my broadcast and gave us a great deal on it. And that means we pass on the savings to you. For a limited time, the sale's going to end soon. Around December 1st, you can get 55% off on 3 bottles. And believe me, once you start taking it, you're going to want more. So you're going to be glad you got it. 50% off on 2 bottles, and 40% off on 1 bottle. There's a lot of other great supplements as well at thealexjonesstore.com. But let me just read to you what some of the superfoods, because it's not just sea moss that's in it, though it is the equivalent of 40 grams concentrated sea moss in 1 serving, 2 capsules. It's also got the bladder rack and the burdock root, as well as concentrated pepperdine and more. So here's what Irish sea moss does, according to ChatGPT. Rich in nutrients, contains 92 of the 102 essential minerals the body needs. Boost immune system support. Packed with antioxidants and antiviral properties, supports digestive health, enhances skin health, promotes thyroid function, aids weight loss management, improves energy levels, supports respiratory health. That's just the sea moss. Now let's look at bladder rack. Thyroid support, anti-inflammatory, digestive aid, rich in antioxidants, skin health, weight management, joint support, improves vision, and so much more. Now let's look at burdock root. Detoxifies the body, rich in antioxidants, improves skin health, supports digestive health, boosts immune system function, balances blood sugar, anti-inflammatory, supports circulation, and again, so much more. And it's not just Ultimate Sea Moss formula that's amazing at thealexjonesstore.com. Incredible Patriot gear, InfoWars gear, Trump One gear. We have limited edition fundraiser posters, and all of these products keep our transmission on the air. Whether InfoWars gets shut down by the bad guys or not, looks like it's not going to be by the grace of God, so keep praying for us and keep supporting. But regardless, we've set up the Alex Jones Network and are ready in case it shuts down to not miss a beat. All because of viewers and listeners like you, past support. So visit thealexjonesstore.com today and make sure you become a VIP member if you're going to buy anything and support, because you get $40 to spend each month in the store for your membership of $30, and you can cancel anytime. So again, be sure and visit thealexjonesstore.com. It's a total win-win. Try the Irish Sea Moss, get some of the Patriot gear, support the InfoWar, and have a healthier, better life. It is a true 360 win, and it all starts at thealexjonesstore.com. And I want to thank you for keeping us on the air and encourage you now to support so we stay on the air in the face of the New World Order. All right, we have, when I say massive COVID news, this is the biggest ever. The smoking gun of how they created COVID in 2015. We already knew about all this, but this is the documents and more. And it's official. I knew it. I told you in the last 4 or 5 days they're going to try to roll out this HMPV. And I said, you know, in a few days, they'll start saying, okay, it's deadly. Oh, my God, China's covering it up. That's now all over the corporate news, hitting in the West today. I know their next move. So come clean, China. Wave of HMPV illness flooding hospitals with CDC on alert. So it's going down. But here's Trump. There's so many of these clips on the broken election system and pledging to fix it with the Integrity Commission. Here it is.
Invest $1 billion or more. And we'll do this for people with far less, too. But we guarantee it. We're going to move them quickly through the environmental process. Sometimes people are held up 12, 13, 14, 15 years. I saw it with plants in Louisiana where I got it approved in literally a week. They were through the review in 1 week after spending 14 and a half years trying to get it, and they were going nowhere. It was a terrible thing. So I've been a victim of that myself over the years, and I think I know all the games and all the tricks that are played, and much of it is just done to stop progress. So we're going to be helping you and everybody else that comes to the United States and wants to invest their money, that you don't get tied up for the rest of your life and you can't do anything. This commitment further underscores that many of the greatest business leaders on earth are seeing a very bright economic future for America since the election. As you know, a lot of positive things have happened. We are inheriting a difficult situation from the outgoing administration, and they're trying everything they can to make it more difficult. Inflation is continuing to rage, and interest rates are far too high. And I've been disappointed to see the Biden administration's attempt to block the reforms of the American people and that they voted for. We had a landslide election. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of people. Nobody even knows how many people, millions. And they're still counting in some areas. You know, they're still counting the vote in some areas. Can you believe this? What a place. What a horrible place. One of the things we're going to do is we've got to fix the election so that we get honest counts and they get done by 10 o'clock in the evening or something thereabouts. There are places where they're still counting votes.
We are running massive flash sales right now for just the next 4 days at thealexjonesstore.com. On Wednesday, the big sweepstakes on the amazing off-road Ford Trimmer turbo diesel will be ending. Each day, any product you buy, you get entered 10 times to win. There's a bunch of other specials. On the last day, Wednesday, any order, no matter how small, you will get a limited edition free black InfoWars hat with every order and 10x entries. Also, free $6 store credit with no minimum purchase and 10x entries, 25% off store-wide. On top of the sales, it's all there at thealexjonesstore.com, and your purchase keeps us on the air. Be sure and become a VIP member for $30 a month, cancel anytime. You get $40 to spend each month in the store when you're a VIP, and a whole bunch of other special offers, sales, and bigger discounts. Be sure to become a VIP member, thealexjonesstore.com, and enter to win the truck. Well, that's a pleasant mistake, because Rob's uploading these clips from Trump to X and putting a little ad on the end, and I guess didn't get cut off. But I'm glad that aired, because we have the biggest sales ever going right now at thealexjonesstore.com. We're suing the deep state, blocking them, taking over InfoWars. We're winning, but it takes a lot of money to win a war. And to put the information out we're about to put out right here, but we have withstood the enemy only because of God working through you to keep us on air. So when I tell you thank you, I'm thanking you for real. When you call up thanking me, I'm like, if you want to thank me, just share the articles and videos and buy the great products that you're going to love, because I can't fight these people without you, and I am in a war with them, and I am totally committed, and all I want to do is get them off of our necks, and we're very close. So thank you for helping me and you kick the living shit out of the New World Order. All right, we are about to break, hands down, the biggest COVID news ever with a lawyer here on air in a moment. And they're rolling out their new pandemics right now. This is so key. And I don't want listeners, the millions watching on X, other places, to wait till we get this clip from the live show right now at 1:06 Central. I want you to grab it right now and get it out. I'm going to be showing you on screen and where you can find this. This came out in congressional investigations. And we already knew almost all of this from other information and whistleblowers and the vice president of the EcoHealth Alliance that came out 3+ years ago, Dr. Huff, that we had on. But we had the EcoHealth Alliance in 2015, right when Obama got caught cooking up COVID-19 in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And then when they got caught moving into Wuhan, China, under Bill Gates and the globalist funding, and they're all taught about what they were going to do and how they were going to attack and how they would take over. We have the documents, that's coming up, but Trump had his incredible speech today and then press conference where he announced a lot of incredible things, but the key was America's back for business. The globalists have had their foot on our neck, and we can turn this around, and that's true. And then when that happens, everybody who's even on the fence will get behind the agenda of making our country free and great again. This is so exciting. So here's the Trump effect. American confidence in the economy now at its highest level in history. He's been spending his time behind the scenes the last month plus since he won the election 2 months ago, getting his team ready, and now he's coming out of the gates with 12 days until the inauguration. Here's a clip.
We're a party of common sense, and things that I'm telling you now is really all about common sense. On January 20th, we'll turn the economy around very quickly, because right now we are, when I think of our economy, I think about inflation. That's what we have. We have inflation, I believe, at a level that we never had before. There's never been anything like it. And over the next 4 years, the United States is going to take off like a rocket ship. But really, it's already doing it. If you take a look, just last month, SoftBank announced the $200 billion. I think it'll be 200. He said between 100, and I said, how about making it 200? And he sort of said yes, but let's say it's 100, but it might be 200, right, Brian? Dollars, United States, creating more than 100,000 jobs. Hussein just announced tremendous investment that he's going to make, and that's money that's in the bank. He's going to come and do it, and he'll do a great job, and he'll build the best centers in the country, I guarantee, because I know the way he builds. Since my election, the stock market has set records. The S&P 500 index has broken above 6,000 points for the first time ever, never even close. In a single month, small business optimism soared 41 points. It's not a 41. It went up 41 points, and that's the largest in the 39-year history of the group that does it. According to Gallup, the American people's confidence in the economy has just surged to the highest level in history. That's why I have a news conference like that. I take the greatest business leaders in the world. I say, hey, do you want to say you're going to invest the money? They're not looking for news conferences. They're saying, what am I doing here? They go in and they invest money, but it's good to know where the smartest business people in the world are investing, and they're investing in the United States.
We are running massive flash sales right now for just the next 4 days at thealexjonesstore.com. On Wednesday, the big sweepstakes on the amazing off-road Ford Trimmer turbo diesel will be ending. Each day, any product you buy, you get entered 10 times to win. There's a bunch of other specials. On the last day, Wednesday, any order, no matter how small, you will get a limited edition free black InfoWars hat with every order and 10x entries. Also, free $6 store credit with no minimum purchase and 10x entries, 25% off store-wide. On top of the sales, it's all there at thealexjonesstore.com, and your purchase keeps us on the air. Be sure and become a VIP member for $30 a month. Cancel anytime. You get $40 to spend each month in the store when you're a VIP, and a whole bunch of other special offers, sales, and bigger discounts. Be sure to become a VIP member, thealexjonesstore.com, and enter to win the truck. All right, I told you this last few years that if Trump could overpower the election fraud, if we could do it, they would escalate war with Russia, they would start pushing for race war, and they would release a new pandemic. I didn't know whether it would be a real virus or whether they would just hype up all the deaths from people that took the poison shots and had their immune systems erased. Now they're calling it the quad-demic with bird flu, RSV, and the new one, HMPV. They've been doing the same type rollout in China that was wargamed and prepared by Peter Daszak and Bill Gates and the globalists, where they show you all the scary footage of drones and people dying and falling down and people in hazmat suits spraying chemicals everywhere for a few weeks and say, oh, nothing's happening in China, because people know the media lies. So they do that to create fear. Well, the media is saying nothing's happening. It must be happening. And they even, talk about that in these documents we're about to go over from 2015 when they were planning all this. And now they're doing it again, just like Hotez 5 weeks ago promised. Trump will have a bunch of new pandemics come crashing down on him when he's inaugurated January 20th. Well, now they're beginning the covert rollout ahead of the public rollout. And I said Sunday and yesterday, I said right now they're saying there's no crisis in China, no emergency, though they're concerned the Chinese, are basically put an emergency in. They should have an announcement. I said I would imagine the next few days or week, we'll start seeing headlines like this one out of the Mirror. It's everywhere. Come clean China. Wave of HMPV illnesses flooding hospitals with CDC on alert. So now the CDC's on alert. So I said to you, HMPV looks like the big one. Bird flu they use to kill the cows and the chickens and shut down the economy all over the world and attack the food source, which is what the WEF-UN deindustrialization post-industrial plan is. So I've seen Congress talk about this. I've seen a lot of the emails. I've had whistleblowers on from Econ Health Alliance, the vice president. And we've seen Senator Paul talk about this. But we have the emails and the documents from the congressional investigation where you got Peter Daszak and the front group of the CIA, and that's what their whistleblowers, high level, the vice president said on the show 2 years ago. We need to get Dr. Huff back on, Army scientist, that it was really a CIA operation. And Google was heavily invested, Bill Gates, all of it, because they got caught running the weaponization of COVID-19 with the coronavirus at Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So they then moved it after that to China that same year. And here they are in the minutes of their meetings and their emails, and then their battle plan talking about how they do this. And then a few years later, you see Fauci on C-SPAN, we played the clips many times, and they talk about we're going to blow up the old FDA system where it takes years to approve something with this and have mRNA and everything, probably with a virus, something like SARS or a corona, or and they say those terms. So they don't even hide this. But when it came out, they were gain-of-functioning coronaviruses at the University of Texas and Rice and Houston, but it was quarterbacking at North Carolina, Chapel Hill. There were major publications like New Scientist and others. We've shown those many times, that talked about gain of function with cold viruses, specifically for what they did with COVID, with corona. So these documents are incredibly important, and they're critical for us to understand. And yesterday, that man they said that had the bird flu with all these comorbidities in Louisiana died of bird flu. So you see the hype going into high gear. They just point a PCR test at somebody, say they've got it because they're already on their deathbed. When they die, they have a bird flu death. But from everything I've seen, it looks like they're really planning to go with HMPV, though they say imminently it's about to mutate bird flu and kill everybody. It's going to kill 50 million, a billion, all this stuff out of Bill Gates. Bill Gates in their war games at Johns Hopkins last year and then 2 years before that with this new contagion hype they've been pushing, said the next thing will hit children. Well, that's what this new supposed virus, HMPV, out of China, they're saying is going on. So I wanted to get lawyer Mike Yoder, who is one of the very best researchers and activists out there exposing election fraud everywhere. That's how you mainly know him here, who's also gone deep into the documents that are public now, dealing with the EcoHealth Alliance that was the front group for the CIA and the Pentagon and the whole Obama operation here, to go over the latest with us. Before we walk through this document, Mike, who is at Yoder_Esquire, Yoder_ESQ, and citizenag.org, absolute must view every day research there. One of my stops at least once a week. I should be there every day. Mike, I don't know why I wasn't thinking to reach out and see what you were looking at. I was like, oh my God, he's over the target. We got to get him on. Just in general, the waterfront, Trump, Musk, the pandemics they're rolling out, everything, where you see humanity, and then let's drill into this beyond bombshell. I mean, this is smoking gun stuff.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things that they're playing on right now is the fact that everyone sees the results of the election. There was a nationwide mandate on Trump winning the presidency, and a lot of people are likely going to fall into a level of complacency. Once people do fall into a level of complacency, they become vulnerable. Their guard's down. They're not as aware of what's going on because they think that just one man in the White House is going to change everything nationwide, and that's not necessarily the case. We saw what he was able to accomplish with severe opposition in his first term. And while he may not have that same level of opposition, it doesn't mean that the forces against him or those that are trying to harm people globally or in the United States are going to take any back seat or all of a sudden change course. So I think that that's really where we are in terms of humanity, is just trying to make sure people don't fall asleep at the wheel, and people are aware that while he has a 4-year term, we still have a midterm election in 2 years, and that's really where we need to ensure that our elections are secure, which is one of the things I'm working on, as well as be aware of any sort of risks that we have nationwide in terms of outbreaks or pandemics.
And this information that we knew from other emails, documents, congressional testimony, whistleblowers, but now these particular documents that have come out in congressional investigations. Let's walk through this right now, and we'll put the exhibits on screen directly from the bad guys. Mike, start walking us through EcoHealth Alliance and these documents and emails and their own battle plan and their own agenda minutes from 2015.
Yeah, so I found this document back in 2021 when I was looking on the NIH website. I mean, in the bottom left corner of it, you can see that it's a publication with the NCBI. It's at nih.gov. And the document itself was very alarming because I noticed, first and foremost, the date of the publication was February 12th of 2016. And they're talking about developing MCMs for coronaviruses and what essentially they can use these with. But the whole focus of this was not on preventing the virus. They actually go so far as to describing the disappearance of the threat as, quote, unfortunate. This was dealing with Peter Daszak. And I dug into this. And when I was reading this document, I noticed the absolute correlation is just insane with what happened to what this document was saying. And you can see, I found, top left corner there, it shows when I found the document, it was in November 10th, 2021. And it talks about how a key driver is the media sustaining the hype, because if there's no fear and people don't genuinely they're not genuinely fearful of a pandemic or an outbreak, it has to be real in order to sustain the hype and drive for investment to actually manifest. And they're talking about how
and let me stop you. We're going to read this and walk through it. But as I said, I had Dr. Huff on, who was the vice president 3 years ago. I've seen this talked about in Congress. So when I say this is breaking, this has been talked about in Congress. It's been talked about by my whistleblowers. We've shown it before. But I'm saying it's like rediscovering fire. If you were a bunch of cavemen that didn't know it already existed, or you were born out in the middle of the jungle somewhere. This is smoking gun stuff, and so we're bringing it back to the public's attention, and because nobody except for us and a few others has ever even walked through this. Repeat what you just said, and then if you want, we can start actually reading it from the document. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think as a foundation before we dive into the document itself, I think it's important that people understand if you take morals out of it, there is no better business model in the world that's conceptualized or possible than a global vaccination platform. And I'm not saying in terms of benefit, I'm talking purely on an economic perspective, because the demand is every single person alive if you're mandated to receive it by the government. The supply is unlimited because they can manufacture it in their labs, whether it be done through the DoD or Pfizer, whether it's Moderna, AstraZeneca, whatever manufacturer you have. And the price is whatever they want to arbitrarily set it at, because they use taxpayer dollars to fund it. So you have an unlimited supply, you have a global multi-billion, 7 billion people demand, and the price can be exorbitant because you're charging it and taking it off of taxpayer dollars. So the business model itself is the basis for it. And then that also translates into a level of control, which is why it's so important that they have this. And they even talk about it introducing concepts like One Health, which would be essentially a one world government's HHS for the equivalent, where they can control these decisions. And our health is the most valuable thing we have, because if you ask someone if they'd rather have $10 million, but they died tomorrow, what do you think they're going to say? Of course not. Your health is more valuable than anything else that you have in this lifetime, because it is your life. So that's why they're going after it, because what more can you use to control someone than their own life?
And I've studied the globalists very closely. Again, attorney Mike Yoder here with us from citizenag.org. The globalists always have an economic incentive through their corporations to amass power control, to corrupt the medical system, to corrupt whatever industry they either already control or are getting control of and are weaponizing. But at the top, there's the larger agenda of depopulation and corrupting the medical system, so they get them to do something evil, knowing human nature is once they get caught, the lower level people will now start covering up and then fully join the depopulation conspiracy.
Yeah, and the other thing too is if I always tell people, if I put a picture up of 8 different molecules, I said which one is water, most people won't be able to identify it, but yet they would all absolutely unequivocally die on that hill that's saying the scientific formula for water is H2O. And my point with that is that medicine is not something that's like the law, where you can actually go and read the text of the Constitution, look at the legislative history, and chase it through step by step by step to see if it is legal or not based on the Constitution. In medicine, most of the time, you don't actually get to see hands-on exactly what it is that you're explaining or teaching or being taught in medical school. So whatever you're told is going to be the gospel to you as a doctor. So there's a lot of doctors out there that I genuinely think care and want to do the right thing, but they are so convinced that they are doing the right thing because of what they've been told in school or what they've been lied to, which is why you see pharmaceuticals so heavily pushed, and they get away from holistic medicine and other things like that are actually natural, cures, because it doesn't make money for the industry. So when people look at this from a high level, they are going to base it off of what they're believing based on what they've been told, not what they actually have experienced or what they've seen. And that's how you see this stuff manifest with the vaccines. And that's why they're pushing it so far, because they can control you. And then they do have a higher level of an agenda with this. And that's exactly what the document.
And let me just back you up. They've always got to have the money to get everybody to go along with it in the industry they're using as a weapon. The globals at the top with depopulation, and they want a world ID based on the vaccine passport and their own admissions, Bill Gates, you and all of them, that's tied into the social credit score and the global central bank digital currencies, so they get their mark of the beast. They get their depopulation. They get to corrupt and take control of the medical systems and buy people off with the money that's built into the program, whether you're in Australia, Germany, the U.S., or Canada, anywhere in the West. It was the same programs, $53,000 or the equivalent to kill people with ventilators, to give them money if they did kill them, actual bounties on the murder. I mean, this is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Gates couldn't keep viruses out of computers, and you think he's going to do it with humans? It's intentional. My whole point looking at this is that why would someone who's openly admitted that he wants to have a depopulation agenda push so hard for a vaccine that is purportedly or allegedly to help save people from those, from dying? It's just on face value doesn't make any sense.
Well, I want to depopulate people. There's too many people. And then, by the way, I want to give you the shot. And when you take the shot, it raises your immune system and kills you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mark is saying that's going to save you, but that's where the illogical fallacy is. I mean, you really look at what he has said is his intent, and then you look at a product that he's putting out, and then you're seeing what the results are. Yet some people still actually believe that every single vaccine is going to save you, and it's
not. 2 years ago, James O'Keefe gets 3 interviews secretly with the director of mRNA technology at Pfizer, and he says, "quote, we're creating a bunch of new, more deadly viruses as our business model." I mean, that's frickin' smoking gun.
And the gain of function research that Fauci just absolutely flouted. I mean, and like the whole point of the gain of function research was the fact that going after the viruses or the vaccines that you're talking about, they're so focused on money, they're literally creating different derivatives of the virus and mutations so they can then prepare the vaccine before it hits, because they want to be the first one to have the bite at the apple to get that vaccine pushed out. Because the vaccine is a product, it's no different than any other business model. But if you can create the demand by artificially injecting it into society, and it's not just a demand, it's a need at that point to most people who want to have the vaccine thinking it's going to save them. That's what they're doing. And gain of function research, a lot of people don't realize they're literally creating a more dangerous or a different derivative of an actual virus that is already dangerous in and of itself. So that way they can then profit off of the cure. It's the same thing you see over and over, where people, just like politicians, they will campaign and grandstand on the stage of tragedy just to promote about the promises so they can then get in office to create another problem to then talk about solving.
Well, that's right.
It's
And the big UN international databases of the different private corporate groups Gates set up in the last 30 years over the governmental and UN regulatory systems, they were talking about COVID-19 and having it on the shelf in their filings 3 years before they released it.
I think that Trump's announcement back in 2015 is what stalled the virus from, or his win rather, I think is what stalled them from releasing it sooner. I think that looking at the dates on everything here, I think they saved it because once they saw that he was a serious contender, they held it off until the. Well,
that's right. They had it ready for Hillary coming in. She was going to do martial law with it.
Yeah, and that would have put the nail in the coffin right there after, the 2 terms with Obama, and then Trump winning is what severed that. But then they weaponized it and commingled that with election fraud, in my opinion. And that's what they used it in 2020, because they used the virus to keep people at home. They used that to push for the mail-in ballots, which I extensively have gone through the voter fraud issues, and I've seen the very complex structure as to how they carried that out. And the virus was the perfect smokescreen for them to justify doing a lot of different things with irregularities. And how they
you are spotlighting the document where they admit all of this. So I want to get into this. And we've got Viva Fry from Canada who's been talking about this, and Trudeau. We'll mix it all together, and Elon and Trump, big picture when we come back. But we will read this on air. But I know I can go find the document. We found it. You sent it to us. But it's a lot of places. But where do people find this? They go to the NIH website. What do they search?
Assuming that it's still up, if you show the document on the screen, it's going to be in the bottom left-hand corner. There's actually the full hyperlink right there that you can look at it. And the title of the document, yeah. So right there is and I'll tweet that out so people can find it. If it's not still online, which it very well may not be, they might have taken it down. I will upload the PDF and I'll tweet that as soon as I get off air, and people can find it there.
And again, this has been talked about in Congress, but they only graze on it. This is a real document, ladies and gentlemen. Mike, we're going to break, but tell us in 30 seconds also about the work you do at Citizen AG on the election fraud, and Trump talking about his new election commission.
Yeah, so we were able to, identify hundreds of thousands, over millions of ineligible voters that we were able to identify both in Arizona, Pennsylvania, and we're going to be taking that nationwide. And I know you mentioned James O'Keefe earlier. We just announced in December that James O'Keefe and I we're partnering up between our 2 nonprofits to protect whistleblowers to prevent things in the future from whether it be election related, whether it be pandemic related. But whistleblowers are now not going to need to be afraid, because instead of going on defense all the time, it's time we actually go on offense and protect them and prosecute these claims against the government officials.
Well done, Master.
We have some more.
We'll be right back. My dad is chemistry background, also retired doctor, but He came in to help me run my supplement division 13 years ago. The deep state sued the hell out of him. We're going to our guest in a moment, but I got to do this. Thank you, sir. And they basically almost destroyed my parents. They didn't even complain until I heard about it from family that my dad was at the edge of bankruptcy himself with all the lawsuits the Democrats filed. By the way, they said in court that their attorney's fees are $316 million yesterday. They filed before. They've spent $80 million suing me. We've spent $16 million fighting them. My dad spent $2 million fighting them. And we're finally winning. Not only does my dad's supplement company, drjonesnaturals.com, have some of the best supplements, it is a personal request I ask you to support him because he's been a sponsor and wouldn't tell me in the last few years he was out of money. He was giving everything to InfoWars and then personally going through his savings and selling things he had and not telling me, because that's how dads are. My mother wouldn't tell me. Then when I found out about this a few months ago when they were out of town, I went and dug through all his finances in his office, and I got pissed. So it is a personal thing for me, a warrior who fights for you every day and my own future as well, to ask you, I need your help. The supplements are there. They're great. He's got a bunch more coming in. He's put everything into it he has. They're incredible. I've given so much to this fight, and I respectfully ask all of you, every person listening, because such a tiny fraction of you ever actually go buy anything, that I don't want to belabor this. We have important topics to cover. Please support us. Go to drjonesnaturals.com. There's a new sale. Everything is 30% off. Next Level Foundational Energy, all fluoride-free toothpaste, silver bullet colloidal silver, CoQ10, and quercetin max that are high-end quercetin and CoQ10 for 40% off. Or try these other amazing products. Ultimate Longevity Pack for 50% off, a big sale. And my dad literally took a loan last week to be able to buy the product that's coming in finally next week, Turbo Force, things like that are popular. So we're trying to stabilize something that's important, and the enemy can get us so down to burn us out and shut us down. My dad won't stop fighting. He's a fighter. Hell, he's my dad. Think I'm a fighter. They wouldn't even tell me this stuff. We need to sell out of the little bit of stuff they got left just to get the next 3 or 4 products that are finally coming in to get them back on their feet so they can be a sponsor. But at this point, it's not even about sponsoring the Alex Jones Show. It's about my parents. And if you think I can continue to fight the globalists when my parents are being destroyed, that's why the enemy targeted them. So please support the InfoWar today. Support my mother and my father. I'm asking it personally for you to do it now. And if 5% of the millions watching would go do it, all our problems will be over in 1 minute. But it's less than 1/2% that ever buy anything from drjonesnaturals.com, thealexjonestore.com. And for those that do support, thank you for keeping us in the fight for our futures. So, thealexjonestore.com, drjonesnaturals.com. I'm going to shut up at the balance of this hour. All right, I got 2 really smart individuals, both lawyers, Mike Yoder and Viva Fry, on with us right now. And we just went over these public documents that Congress has mentioned, and we've had the whistleblower on, Dr. Huff, who was the vice president of the Alliance. He said it was really the CIA. He was an Army officer himself that worked in super secret projects and then went basically assigned to that. And he basically came out 3+ years ago on my show, almost 4, and said that the whole thing was staged, it was a weapon. He mentioned all this. But here's the meeting, 2015, and they talk about all of it. So I wanted Mike Yoder to just recap what's in the document. Then I want to bring Viva Fry on about, because he's been all over this, and they're trying to roll out multiple new pandemics, the bird flu, the HMPV, that I think is the big one that I've been predicting. They would escalate the hype. Now it just started. And that goes with Bill Gates' latest John Hopkins war games that are just like Event 201 that call it. This targets children. And how this is going to be affected by Musk, that is in beast mode right now. I mean, with Super Mario Brothers, he's eating the mushroom and taking down the globalists. There's more damage to the globalists in a day than used to happen in a year. I mean, this is insane. You got Trump and that scorched earth press conference that was so powerful. You've got all these resignations and more coming by globalist puppets. Trudeau pulled a fast one. He said he's going to resign, but really he's calling in the governor general to try to stay in power to the summer, maybe get the socialists to join him in a coalition and stay in power. So he wants to kind of fool the public that he's gone when he may not be. So we're going to spotlight that. We're going to cover the waterfront in the time we have left here. And we'll go back to Mr. Yoder here in a minute, Master Yoder. But going to Viva Fry here, my good friend. And of course, you can find him at vivabarneslaw.locals.com and follow him on X at @TheVivaFry. Mr. Fry, how would you quantify the epicness of the moment we're in right now I mean, I don't think they can put the New World Order back together again. They're not completely defeated yet, but culturally and just the initiative we have and the panic nature of all these world leaders coming out against Musk for exposing the government pedophile rings. I mean, this is just a moment in history that I would like to get your take on how you would quantify that, or maybe you disagree with me, and then getting into the pandemic, and then we'll finish up with Mr. Yoder, getting into this document, and your take, then we'll move into Trudeau and more with you, and then Steve Quayle's coming up for the big 35,000-foot view. What will they try to do to stop Trump and the populist agenda? But Viva, how would you state the moment we're in right now?
It's the most interesting time to be alive in the history of humanity, full stop, without exception. It's astonishing what has happened between 2016 and today in terms of exposing it all, exposing the media, exposing the media corruption, collusion with the government. And now what we're seeing is the exposing of pedophile rings, which were conspiracy lore of 4 years ago, 5 years ago, exposing it to the point where now people understand who Tommy Robinson is, why he's in jail, what role the current Prime Minister, Keir Starmer there, played in all of this, in the cover-up, how failed immigration policy leads to suppression of information, leads to censorship, because it's how the government continues to cover up the failed consequences of their failed policy. And they're dropping like flies one after the other. The situation in Canada is interesting because I have been having this back and forth debate on the internet. Did Trudeau resign or didn't he resign? And he comes out and he gives his press conference, announces his intention to resign after his leader replacement is appointed, after a leadership race within the party. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the gesture of what's going on that's the important thing. Announcing that he's resigning because he is wildly unpopular, they'll find someone equally as terrible to fill his shoes. It'll be Mark Carney or it'll be Chrystia Freeland, both WEF globalists. And it doesn't matter whether it's Trudeau or someone else, it's the poison rot within the party that is being exposed now for all to see. And so it could not be a more interesting time to be alive. You have to be as optimistic as you've ever been, because in as much as we see all of these deep-seated problems, we've got the tools now with which to fight back. Elon Musk and Twitter's part of it. Chris Pavlovski and Rumble and the platform over there, I think, is an arguably equally big part of it. And so it's a great time to be alive, but you got to keep the pressure on and keep that.
I totally agree. What do you make of Zuckerberg, 3 months ago saying, I'm sorry, and starting to capitulate, now coming out saying he's going to copy Musk with community notes and stop censoring? We're going to try to go back on either Facebook today or tomorrow and document it, and I'm not holding my breath. But, I mean, we're seeing massive capitulation.
It's an amazing thing. You could do the right thing for the wrong reasons, and you know that Zuckerberg is not doing the right things out of the goodness of his own conscience. He is motivated by money, as many people are, not necessarily to a flaw, unless you sell your soul for the money. But he's motivated by clout. And I said this a while back. Like one day, free speech is going to be cool again. Being able to deal with, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never harm me is going to be cool again. And right now what you have is Zuckerberg, first of all, admitting to being a willing participant in censorship, suppression, and the suppression of actual information or the promotion of disinformation, which cost people's lives. So he wants to blame it on the government. He was a willing participant in full awareness of fact and law for what he did. Now he wants to come clean because Europe wants to shut him down and hurt his business, because the Biden administration basically burned him and scorned him. And so now he's coming clean, not out of the goodness of his own soul or his own conscience. He needs the money, and he's feeling a little jealous that in as much as he's a billionaire and he's worth $210 billion, Elon Musk is cool and Zuckerberg is not. Chris Pavlovski is on the leading intellectual forefront of social media, of the internet, and Zuckerberg is not. Zuckerberg is running a platform for grannies that suppresses information because the users are too much snowflakes to deal with political content, and he's not leading anything anymore, and he's jealous to be on the outside. So I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. He's doing the right thing, but for the wrong reasons. And the only thing that's predictable about Zuckerberg is that he's motivated by money and clout, and so you can predict what he's going to do next based on that incentive.
Viva Fry, talk about on target. I want to shift gears into the new pandemic and go back to Mike Yoder here, another great counselor. But I want to get your take on this, Viva, and then he's going to finish up and we're going to go to you. Clearly, they said, Hotez, Tedros, all the current spokespersons, because Fauci's been hiding because he's so hated, probably the only person more hated than Bill Gates on the planet. The numbers are like 98% of people hate him in polls. What do you make of them arrogantly going, Hotez probably used to go, Trump's really going to have a crash in on him, you'll see. And Tedros making similar statements, and the Secretary General of the UN saying, we must censor everyone when the new pandemic comes. It comes very soon. We need to put people in jail that not do what we say. We need to. And then they tried to pass 2 weeks ago, the legislation that would give martial law powers in the U.S. and tens of billions of dollars for the new lockdowns. That failed. So we're watching them try to launch the plan they already had being blown up in live time, but they still just launch the plans because they also get money to their institutions when they do that. I mean, this is wild. And do you agree with me that it looks like HMPV was the ace in the hole that they're now deploying? And how do you think we stop them from getting that psychological purchase in the mind of the people and causing total panic?
Well, I'll remind Alex of the thing you told me when you came on my channel the first time. The shocking thing is they have the same play over and over again, mutatis mutandis. I think the issue right now is that people have too much access to internet, social media, free speech to allow them to get away with it the way they almost got away with it the first time. I think people are much wiser to it now. The only question is going to be, is it going to be a real health risk or an exaggerated one, the way I think, to some extent, the COVID pandemic was. But it's their tool. They want to play it. I think they've lost a number of their assets with which to wage this war. But the bottom line, there must be a serious decoupling from Europe, from these globalist institutions, not from Europe in and of itself, from these globalist institutions that have too much influence that should have none whatsoever on national politics.
I totally agree. And I told Musk on air and off and everywhere, that's why we all have to go on offense. In fact, you can't just decouple from those institutions. We have to, by exposing them and not supporting them, help their populations remove this international crime network that is the globalist. It's a global party against us. We, through solidarity, not through globalism, have to unify and remove them. And that's the process now accelerating. And Musk has gone on full rampage mode. Your take on that?
No, absolutely, and it's a decoupling. It's not being reliant on foreign countries that are hostile to us for anything that we need. It's getting a little bit of national independence again. It's sort of become a four-letter word. But the bottom line also, expose it and don't facilitate it and don't enable it. One of my critiques of Musk, but it's always a question of how you strategize and how you play. When Brazil says we're going to cut you out of the market entirely if you don't bend the knee a little bit, and then the question is, do you cut off your nose to spite your face, or do you leave some of the tools there, albeit limited for the time being, because the tide will change? And I think we're at the moment now where the populist movement is sufficiently awakened that the people know, and they cannot get away with the same level of censorship, and they won't tolerate the same level of censorship. So I think it's right now, put it on blast, and it's going to be one hell of a battle.
No, I totally agree. And Musk is doing what America's supposed to do. 1776 worldwide, the term I coined. He is using soft power, promoting freedom, spotlighting classical totalitarianism all over the world, and it's beautiful. And I really can find no fault with him, though I am disconcerted some. He hasn't implemented it yet, folks. That's not true. When he says, it's even more open-ended than, quote, fake news, but at least when someone says something's fake, we can go disprove that the Bill Gates style, funded fact checkers and government, fact checkers were the biggest frauds. When you say it's totally subjective, like negativity, well, that is really, really dangerous right there.
He's doing good. He's allowed to make mistakes, and he's allowed to adopt bad policy. Like, you're not going to agree with everything that Trump proposes either, and you give them criticism where you think it's warranted. He's done more than many other people.
Anybody other than Trump? I will give credit. This is phenomenal. This is historic. I literally thank God at night. I literally say prayers for Elon Musk. 2 nights ago, I was working till 2 a.m. and I just thought, and I actually got in bed, had a glass of ice, took a drink of water and went, oh my God, they're going to try to kill Musk. I literally said, God, please protect him. He is wrecking them, Viva.
He is, and I actually do the same thing for Trump, and you realize that these are wanted men. But
I Trump all the time. I'm just saying now I've added Musk.
Well, and I want to give credit to Pavlovsky and Rumble and Bongino, and that was integral in the election. But Elon Musk in particular, it was Bannon who said he bought a crime scene. I forget who said it. Can you imagine what Elon has access to by way of information that would expose things beyond any realm of doubt? So Elon has the biggest tool right now on a going forward basis, but he's also got the evidence on a retroactive basis. So I do think there's more to be unleashed there. He's allowed to be wrong on certain policies. He's allowed to react
totally
a little bit
agree.
emotionally.
People drama queening and attacking him are just doing it for clout and out of jealousy. And they have a right to do it. I have a right to say what they're doing because they are doing that. Absolutely on target. Going back to Mike Yoder. And Mike, I'd like to invite you to host the 4th hour anytime you'd like. Kind of the next week so you can properly go over this without me foaming at the mouth on all these issues. But just recapping these documents, the names of them, we've already shown them. They're on the NIH website still, all that we checked. How big this is, smoking gun. Recap what's in it for a few minutes.
Yeah, and I also sued Zuckerberg, by the way, over the censorship as the pro se plaintiff in that case, because he did admit that he was involved in the censorship, and it was both related to the election, but is also related to the pandemic, because if the true information would have been able to be disseminated, then people would have understood the actual magnitude of the risk with COVID. They would have understood that there's certain people that have pre-existing comorbidities that make them more susceptible to more severe conditions or symptoms, and there's other people that would be able to get the virus and move on. If they'd have the antibodies, they'd be fine. This document is essentially a treatise laying out exactly what they planned on doing. The biggest deviation in what actually manifested from what this document said 4 years earlier was the fact that the virus did not arrive in the United States it didn't arrive in the United States based on planes. It was on cruise lines. And what you have right there on the screen, that's the agenda. So this is sort of the meeting minutes where they discuss this. This is the, when you go to any sort of conference, they have who's speaking at what time your breaks are, what time your lunch is. This is one of those documents where they met in DC in 2015. It goes through explaining essentially a hypothetical scenario with an outbreak, and it has the names of the individuals. It shows you the sessions, the guidance on who's going to be there, who's going to be speaking, and there's a mix of high-profile government officials as well as people, just like Peter Daszak EcoHealth Alliance. You have a lot of other private sector NGO entities that are involved in this. And what are we going to do mitigating the risk of emerging infectious diseases? And this is not the only context in which we have seen, hypothetical scenarios or trainings, so to speak, arise. We saw the same thing with the hurricane hitting Tampa. You have a lot of these in history where you have essentially a run through and then the real thing hits. So this is when they planned it. And then they actually published a year later in February. The other document I had with you guys was essentially the results of what they put together based on this meeting. So here's what they're discussing. This is laying out the agenda for what they need to address. And then the resultant findings or whatever it was that they planned on actually promulgating or carrying out was published on February 12, 2016 by the NIH.
All right, now let's go back to the NIH document now, because reading it, we should have had time to do it, but I'll have you back this week or next week to do a whole hour on it. You're not just saying they admit how they set it all up. It's right here. Go ahead.
I'm reading this in their own words. I mean, if you look down, it's the 6th line in the paragraph. It says something about this poses a serious threat because the potential for SARS to reemerge persists, whether naturally or as a result of a research accident in a laboratory. I mean, that's quite specific. And it's not just that one instance there, talking about using coronaviruses as an example, concepts like One Health. They talk about the important period for investment when you're developing a pandemic or a vaccination platform, where they're literally going through here, breaking it down line by line. And I highlighted the main relevant points in this, going through each of the pages here. They're talking about coronaviruses. And I mean, take back one step before we dive fully into it, but that's, how many coincidences does it take before a coincidence becomes a probability, and what probability level is it to be a near certainty? Because that is exactly what this document lays out. They go down talking about a bat virus as a precursor. Then it gets into, there are researchers in China using funding from the US aid. I mean, you're getting every single aspect of it is in this document that's published by the government
itself. And again, that's how they cook up a plan and then don't get caught for it and get sent to death row, is they always do it as a scenario, but it's really the battle plan.
Exactly, and they do it as a hypothetical, and we're trying to do it for preventative measures, and we're trying to take precautions
like
that are necessary.
Like the Pentagon doing a drill on the days before 9/11 and a NORAD drill that day of hijackers flying planes to the World Trade Center, ABC News.
maybe they could do a run through with their accountants to do a hypothetical accounting scenario with the Pentagon if they wanted to do something productive for society, since they can't seem to keep track of billions and cumulatively trillions of dollars. But that's that wouldn't be beneficial to their agenda. But they do that. It's the same thing. And Viva said it earlier. They have they're one trick ponies. They do the same thing over and over again. But the reason that it manifests and that it works is because nobody steps up to fight. Nobody goes on offense. We're always
and when we have the smoking gun, people don't make a big deal about it. We'll have you back, but run through some more of this. We're actually reading this on air. You go read the whole thing, folks. You will vomit.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about this. It says, Dossett concurred with others. The general public in the United States is not aware of or concerned with an outbreak until it arrives on the continent, at which point there is significant media attention. He goes through breaking that down, saying, they tried this previously with the Ebola breakout, and they described the Ebola breakout and the disappearance of that when they got that under control. They used the word unfortunate. So it says, unfortunately, Mansoura said, the program ended in 2009 due to the expiration of the NIH grant and the disappearance of the threat. Now, who in their right mind...
They're talking about creating a new threat to get money.
And they're describing the disappearance of a virus that kills people as unfortunate. That key word is what drove that right there is what put the nail in the coffin for me, is when they describe the disappearance of a pandemic or an epidemical level virus as unfortunate. And they go down and it says, quote, a key limitation was the disappearance of the threat, which resulted in the lack of will to pursue this vaccination development program further. They're talking about the fact that if you don't continually maintain people in a state of fear, just like the masks were just a visual representation and a constant reminder of the pandemic and a psychological impact that it has on you, they're going through breaking that down for universal vaccination efforts, saying that viral discovery suggests that there will be many other coronaviruses that are close to MERS or SARS that may be used as the same receptor. And right there at the very end, investors are interested at the height of a crisis, is on page 5 of this document. They're talking about them bringing it to the mainland through airports like JFK, Boston, Dulles, Logan. They're talking about, the way that they're going to get it here, talking about the cost-benefit ratio. And then it says right there on the bottom, that last sentence, a key driver is the media, and the economics will follow the hype. We need to use that hype to our advantage to get to the real issues. Investors will respond if they see profit at the end of process.
And then they had War Games and John Hopkins and Event 201 and all of it, getting the media trained and ready. It's incredible. Mike, let's do a full hour on this soon. CitizenAG.org. Great job. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alex.
Viva, we only got about 10 minutes left with you, and then Steve Quayle's coming up and talk to you all day as well. There's so much on the radar screen. What else is front and center for you in the next little bit of time we have left?
Well, first of all, it's just shocking because you read the sub-select committee report on the coronavirus pandemic response, and they say DASAC as one of the conclusions should not receive another dollar in funding. And I just I'm thinking to myself, China is developing these things with the assistance of America. For whom are they developing these gain-of-function viruses? It's nauseating. More immediate on my radar is Trump taking office, hopefully going to meaningfully prosecute some of these players, the Dazacs of the world, the Faucis of the world, meaningfully prosecute, make some examples of them so that this stuff becomes not only financially not incentivized, but when people face the prospect of meaningful criminal punishment for their actual criminal activity, maybe they'll think twice about it. But when Trump gets into office, right now, immediately on the forefront, to put as much pressure on Trump as humanly possible for blanket pardon of all January 6ers. Yesterday was the 4th anniversary. I was scheduled to speak in person at the pardon panel that was put on by Jake Lang, one of the political prisoners in DC. I couldn't get there because of the storm, so I did it digitally. But to put as much pressure as humanly possible on the Trump campaign for a blanket pardon of all Jan 6 defendants, all the victims of Jan 6. Forget parsing out who was violent, who wasn't allegedly. Blanket pardon across the board, save and except for maybe Ray Epps and the pipe bomber. So that's on my immediate radar, because when you appreciate that there are still people sitting in jail and not having had a trial for the events of January 6th, when you appreciate that January 6th was, inside job might be an understatement at this point, but at the very least a Fedsurrection, let it happen on purpose. Heads need to roll, politically speaking, but also people need to be let out of jail and people need to be pardoned and commuted. And also I'm paying attention to the bite bomb story, which is revived in recent times. Not Warren Beatty, Darren J. Beatty covering it. The FBI releases newly released footage, pixelated, apparently, altered to block out eyes so that you can't identify the person through biometrics. And they're releasing new footage that hasn't been released in 4 years, looking for the pipe bomber that they haven't been able to find mysteriously. And that January 6th sub-select committee, or whatever, the unselect committee, in all of their investigations, didn't care much to find out who the pipe bomber was. So tying up some loose ends of the crimes of the old administration, and just hope that Trump is really on it when it comes to taking office.
I want to ask you in the 5 minutes we have left when we come back before Steve Quell joins us, the same question I'm going to ask him. Looking at the globalists saying they'll use crises to maintain control, to bring in their global government and to suppress the people. We're winning so big right now all over the world. I don't want to be overconfident here. I want to come back and ask you what you think the bad guys are going to do and how we get ahead of it with Viva Fry. Be sure and check him out and follow his great show at vivabarneslaw.locals.com and on X at Viva Fry, the Viva Fry. We're going to go to break for 2 minutes. Come right back with him. Remember, yes, we've been beating the Democrat Party. Aiken Gump, their main law firm, suing us, and they said in court filings a month ago they've spent $326 million trying to shut us down. We spent about $18 million fighting them. That's where your money goes, and it's not wasted fighting, and that's how we keep exposing the enemy, and we got the attention of Trump, Elon Musk, everybody else, and the general public, okay? So this is critical to keep on air. Keep sharing the live feeds, keep sharing the articles, keep sharing the videos, and keep getting the great products at our main sponsor. No matter what happens to InfoWars, we can be shut down in weeks. I don't think we will be, but the fight's serious. I haven't even given updates. I've been so busy on other news. But regardless, thealexjonesstore.com is not owned by me, not owned by InfoWars. It will do the AJN network, and the bigger studios are getting built and everything. We are not playing games. So get the amazing supplements, the Patriot gear, and more, like Ultimate Sea Moss, the incredible superfood that's done so well for me and others. Discounted right now, and a bunch of specials. It's the last 2 days to anything you buy. You can put in 10X to win the big super truck and $10,000 cash, all at thealexjonesstore.com. Become a VIP member and get $40 to spend in the store each month. Check it out, thealexjonesstore.com, powering the revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, we are fighting to stop World War III. We are battling to get Trump into office. He's only president-elect right now. We are exposing the globalists. We are reaching 60, 70, 80 million people a day. We're back in the InfoWars studios. The purchase was fraudulent. There's emergency hearings in court coming up next week. But regardless, I'm going to stay on air at the Alex Jones Network, even if this shuts down. So when you go to our sponsor, thealexjonesstore.com, that's not owned by me. The Onion people and the National Gun Control Group and the Democrats, even if they succeed, which I don't believe they will not get the AlexJonesStore.com. They will not get the Alex Jones Network because I don't own it. So when you support our sponsor, the AlexJonesStore.com, with some of the most incredible supplements ever, the superfood, Irish sea moss, we have the strongest, most concentrated, incredible for your whole body. Take an hour to go through it all. Go check it out. That's there discounted up to 55% when you get 3 bottles. 50 when you get 1 bottle, 40% when you get 1 bottle. Try it. You're going to love it. I'm on it. I've lost so much weight. It's insane. Get that and other supplements. And then there's over 200 designs of t-shirts, ball caps, and hoodies now there. These folks that own it bigly were already one of the top producers of Trump and Patriot gear. They have the best designs. All of the new Trump One gear. There's more than 40 shirts and hoodies and ball caps there. These designs are incredible, and now there's all these amazing Alex Jones shirts that are limited edition and will keep me on the air one way or another. Here they are. Look at this one, that famous meme of me coming out of the tunnel with all the Alex Jones clones. We are all Alex Jones. You've got to get that. Gay frogs equals extinction. Oh my goodness. What a way to wake folks up about all the poison in the water that's now mainstream news. 1984 is not an instruction manual. Team Humanity. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Launched that over a year ago with Elon Musk. And then Dale Gribble, warns you about the government, was right the whole time. Darkest Hour, me as Winston Churchill, and so much more at thealexjonesstore.com. Now, we don't make a ton off the t-shirts. We don't make a ton off the supplements because there's not a lot of markup in those, but we do sell a lot. But where we do get major funds is the marked up classic Alex Jones InfoWars red on navy blue shirt and a few other fundraiser shirts that aren't 25 or 30 bucks. They're 50, so we get real money in, because these t-shirts are high quality, printed right here in Arkansas in the United States. And so extra large is like 16, 17 bucks. A small is like 15. The printing costs money. The sponsor gets part of the money. We get part of it to operate. We're making like $6, $7 on the average t-shirt, which is great. And they spread the word, you meet like-minded people. But when you get the marked up shirts, only 2 of them are marked up to 50, we get some real money in to the operation. So if you really want to support, get the fundraiser shirts. Also, the posters, limited edition, back-to-back-to-back Trump win. All those are marked up where they cost us $6, $7 to print them and to put it in the tube. So we make like 40-something bucks off that. If you really want to support us and hang it on the wall and know you supported the Second American Revolution right at the critical point, then get some of the limited edition posters as well. But regardless, you're gonna love the supplements. You're gonna want to order again. We can't stay on air without your support. I'm suing the deep state. We're going after them. We have put all the stuff they did and the bid rigging and everything in these lawsuits and court filings. We're going to win this thing. But regardless, we've got to have money to continue to fight them and stay on air. So go now to the AlexJonesStore.com for amazing products and know you stood with fellow Americans at the critical time to save our republic. The AlexJonesStore.com. Thank you so much for your support. All right. Got a lot of optimism here. I think we're going to have some pessimism. It's always good to look on both sides of it. From Steve Quayle, really smart guy, coming up. But Viva Fry, finishing up, you heard my question. You're optimistic like I am, but also we don't want to be overconfident. Researching the bad guys, what do you think they're going to pull next? Do you think they're going to give up?
I don't think they're going to give up. I think they're going to try to what's the word when you regroup and re-strategize for the next election. I heard your question. I don't like your question because there's a phenomenon where you don't like thinking bad thoughts because you don't want to will them into existence. And some of the cognitive behavioral therapy to get over that is to write down your worst possible thought on a piece of paper to get over that fear. I still have it, and I still don't write things down on a piece of paper. But when we look at, the plays of the old are going to be the plays of the new, I'm less concerned about, I'll call it an exaggerated pandemic, because I do believe that COVID existed. I just believe it was a weaponized bad flu season, and then a lot of the rest of it was misdiagnoses of deaths, et cetera. One that is actually, spreads like coronavirus and acts like Ebola. When Yoder was talking about the Ebola and how it, ultimately it faded out because human biology is what it is. Things don't spread naturally on their own like that. But if they gain a function, something absolutely horrendous, absolutely devastating, and release that where you can't say it's not devastating anymore, you can't leave that into question, that could do it. This whole thing with the drones flying over New Jersey, and the government saying we don't know what it is and we can't stop them, seems like astroturfing, or I think that's the word, but like laying the groundwork for, well, if something happens in the future of a drone carrying, say, I don't know, a very super payload over a building, a certain important building, and detonating, well, you knew that we couldn't stop it because we've been telling you that for the last 3 weeks. So, terrorist attacks, I won't even say false flags because they might be false flag in the sense that they might be operations, but that, terrorist attacks, a drone attack. We know that people have been crossing the border with dirty bomb potential material. We know that people on terror watch lists have been crossing the border from Canada into the US, oddly enough, more prorated more than Mexico to the US. So any number of these things to create not just the perception of a public panic, but an actual public panic. We've gotten past the election, which was, that was the big one for me. How do they keep people out of the polling stations? How do they keep people out of the voting booths? Or how do they go to a fully digital method where they can screw with it the way they did in 2020? We got past that. And now the question is, how can they keep Trump out of office? Because they're not going to give up on that. I mean, they failed twice, 3 times, maybe more. They're not going to give up on that. So how can they do it? I think a lot of the risks have been mitigated in that teams and infrastructures are set up right now where it's no longer just hinging on the uncertainty of an election or one person in particular, but they're not going to give up doing exactly what they've done before over and over again. And so in as much as after the miracle of God that we saw, July 13 failure to take out Trump, and then United States Secret Service and FBI does their, public tour of their own incompetence. I said at the time, they're not trying to be transparent. They're trying to illustrate their own incompetence so that if something else happens again in the future, they can say, well, look, you all knew that we were incompetent. And then it nearly happened again at Mar-a-Lago. So just my fear is that they're going to try something mutatis mutandis, an old play new again, and either make sure it happens, make sure it's worse, or make sure it's so bad that everyone is terrorized into a state of subservience to, techno-tyranny, which is part and parcel of what I think is involved in the New Orleans attack and the Las Vegas situation. Intelligence coming out, creating chaos, creating uncertainty, and making people think they need to submit to techno-tyranny for their own safety.
Absolutely dead on. Absolutely dead on. And I just caution the globalists and their minions. Any scenario I look at where they keep fighting just ends up getting them destroyed. The only problem is in some scenarios we all get killed with thermonuclear war as well. I mean, 2 days ago, the British with over 1,000 armored vehicles and tanks with NATO just went deep into Russia, and there's a whole, fighting North Korean troops. I mean, that just sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. Viva Fry, we love you. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're back in 60 seconds. Stay with us. We're seeing the greatest gains against the globalist New World Order we've ever seen, but there are still major threats to the life of President Trump. We see Elon Musk going at the jugular of the International Intelligence Agency pedophile rings that I have said hundreds of times this last year is what Trump and others have to do to get on the total offense. Tom Homan, the incoming border czar, saying they're going to prosecute the NGOs, the State Department, Alejandro Mayorkas. They're in full panic mode. This is insane. And you've got massive escalations of the Ukraine war the last 48 hours with a huge NATO-backed army, over 1,000 tanks, armored vehicles, mainly British, going in. They're trying to hand Trump a total disaster. We're 12 days out from the inauguration, 12 and a half days out. So I wanted to get the great Steve Quayle on. I've been interviewing Steve Quayle for 29 years. I've been on air 31, but on Talk Radio 29. He's one of the first big guests I got. And I knew a lot of stuff, but I was only 20-something years old, but I've been researching for many years. I knew most of what he was saying was true because I'd read it in the globalist-owned books and had family that told me about it all. But he would get into other stuff about the plans for robot drones and geoengineering and adding chemicals to jet fuel and how they already had human-animal clones and this plan to have the rise of the cyborgs. And then I started reading his books, and anything that I could already research, I knew it was accurate, but a bunch of it was kind of his over-the-horizon look. It all came true. So you can talk about Alex Jones is always right. Well, Steve Quayle was right about what was going on in the shadows. Now, he's been a little doom and gloom, and I think by him pointing out how bad it could get, humanity's woken up to a great extent, and we've averted some very close disasters, but we're already in World War III. And I said that months ago, and I said within a week you'll see world leaders say that, and they did. The only question is, will it go thermonuclear? So with 12 and a half days out, if you think the bad guys are going to give up, you're gravely mistaken. That said, Musk and Trump and many others are on the offense to get the enemy off balance. But the big problem is Communist China and what they're up to. While we're looking at Russia, we're not looking there. So Steve can talk about that and so much more. SteveQuayle.com. Find all of his best-selling books. You can read one he wrote 30 years ago. It's just as important as what he wrote last year or this year, or what he's got coming out this year. Filmmaker, you name it, Steve Quayle. What a national treasure. So we're going to talk about the lead-up to the 2025 Trump inauguration, threats of World War III, terror attacks in the U.S., what he thinks from his incredible sources really went on with the cyber bombing there at Trump International on New Year's Day in Vegas, what really happened in New Orleans with that attack, both the guys from the same PSYOP group, one of them Delta Force, and what we can expect in the coming days, SteveQuayle.com. So, Steve, wow, I really want to hear what you have to say. Can you give us your 35,000-foot view synopses and then drill into whatever sector of that incredibly wide field?
Well, Alex, I think the biggest point you've been making over and over, and I have too, is we are at World War III. We're not approaching it. We're not getting close to it. We are at that point. Ladies and gentlemen, well, the eye's been on Russia. Remember, everybody in the national security establishment, at the FBI, everybody lied. Everybody actually perjured themselves in trying to frame President Trump. And the outcry from what I call the rhinosauruses, that's Republicans in name only, saurus meaning lizards, and in essence, people that claim to be, where were they defending? There are a couple voices, but here's what we need to talk about, Alex, and talking about the big view. China is going to make its move. They've already said that if we, the United States, default on our debt to them or even interest, it's all-out war. There are 8 nations, you can probably figure them out, but the primary ones are Russia, China, and those who own the most U.S. debt that have all teamed up and said, if you do this, it means war. Do this means cancel the currency and declare force majeure, that all debts are no longer redeemable at the Treasury or by the Fed. So the story that is really critical to me is, ladies and gentlemen, the reason there was so much false lies and treason against President Trump is because they wanted to take the eyes off of China. And China has absolutely gone on record. And a couple of years ago, Alex, a gentleman named Shen Ping, it's a real name. And he stated openly, with our bioweapon, we destroyed the United States. Now, I want everybody to think back. Look at where we were.
Well, I mean, that's been on Chinese state-run TV. He brags about it.
Yep. And so, again, what I want to really get the big picture, and we'll drill down on it, is the fact not only are we at war with Russia, we are at open war with China, and they're using every form of asymmetrical warfare.
Xi Jinping said 2 months ago, prepare for total war.
Yep. And see, we're at that point, but people think because the missiles aren't landing, in New York, that somehow that's an idle threat. It's far from an idle threat. And what I think is important is the word asymmetrical warfare. And look at where we're at right now. The world is super tense. And look at the military. You can look at Russian military training. You can look at Chinese military training. They're training for war. They've got the industrial capacity. They've got the determination and will. And where we're at in the United States, we don't have strategic minerals. 1,400 pounds of strategic minerals, or rare earths, are involved in every F-35. We've run out of missiles. Some of our missile frigates have what's in the tubes, no backup. And so where we're at today is this. I don't mean to cloud anybody's anything, but the idea that we're at war is so far gone from the general public. And in essence, the United States isn't the big dog on the block anymore, Alex. We're far from it.
What do you?
There you go.
What do you? And again, Elon Musk is not a sacred cow here. I really respect your view on things. What do you think of Musk and his rampage against the globalists, the pedophile rings, all of it? In my view, you don't do stuff that direct, that powerful, and irrevocably damage the globalist Anglo-American infrastructure and be on their team. Some could say, well, Elon Musk sees the globalists are in trouble, so he wants to go in and replace them. But you don't irrevocably damage their ideology, their philosophy, the transgenderism, the death cult, the open borders, all of it, and be on their team. Really, what do you think about Elon Musk?
Well, first of all, I love his pragmatism. Second of all, I really believe there's nobody that's even in the same category as he is with what I would call the ultimate reality check. And so what's imperative for people to understand is, first of all, the left is jealous of his wealth. They're jealous of his influence. They're jealous of his unspokenness. He doesn't use weasel words. And saying all that, I'm on record, Alex, I'll go on record with you guys. I believe Elon Musk will be the first trillionaire because he already doubled his wealth in the last couple of weeks. And the Tesla car thing, that's secondary. There are ways that he has already thought out. He's way ahead of everybody, and he's a futurist. Now, obviously, I don't agree with everything he says, but I got to say this. I admire his testosterone. I admire him getting in the face of the globalists. And I'm going to go on record. The globalists are Luciferians. They are evil. They are absolutely bent on destroying the world. And this is, I think, the missing link in everything, Alex. People don't understand that just the little slogan you, I, and others have been talking about 29, 31 years is a fact that they have a plan, they, the globalists, Luciferians, to destroy all of Western culture and to take down every nation state and bring on the elite and their Luciferian overlords, which I believe are fallen angels. I can prove it. And by the way, how I prove that? Just in the chat GPT world and the world of AI, and I on record of saying that's alien infestation. Alien meaning interdimensional supernatural intelligence. And Michio Kaku was just interviewed, and what's happening is all of the expectations of AI that, quote, it's artificial, are being blown out of the water, because in essence, that video interview he did, he was explaining, and he was pretty somber. Usually he's pretty perky, upbeat, but there was a level of somberness in that, and the repopulating of the planet and destroying the woke virus. I've produced a short film on Mars. Mars is critical. Mars is the planet of war. Why is it called the planet of war? What happened to Mars? Even the CIA said just, good night, 10 days ago, that their papers, that Mars was inhabited, no kidding, by giants. But they said it disappeared. That giant race on Mars disappeared, eons ago.
And it was once covered with a lot of water. And expanding on that, I've interviewed, former top Apollo astronauts, everybody, and I had dinner with them, and Buzz Aldrin, and he said it on the show. He said, no, that there was life on Mars, and then there was a lot of freaking out by his people after that happened. But the point is that people can look this up. Was there an atomic war on Mars? Just type that in. NASA itself says the radioactive isotope that is there is so high that it's way higher than nuclear testing zones here on Earth, and then it would only come from giant hydrogen bomb nuclear war.
Well, absolutely. And even the what they call the Mahabharata in India talks about the ancient nuclear war and sands in different areas of the world being vitrified. That means turned to glass. And what's important is this: the entire cosmology of an old universe and all that. Listen, the Greeks are on record as being able to see Olympus Mons with the naked eye. That's the largest volcano in our immediate solar system. And what's interesting is even the talk of nuking Mars, even after this event happened. And by the way, I'm on record as saying between Jupiter and Mars, where there is the asteroid belt, that was absolutely a contemporary event. It didn't happen like millions and millions of years ago or billions of years ago. That is a contemporary event. When we're talking about the Greeks, we're talking a couple thousand years ago, and they claimed that, and not only the Greeks, but a lot of observers, different places in the world, claimed that the planet Mars, that's orbit was elliptical. And it's interesting because, again, even with the face on Cydonia, and by the way, I published David Flynn's classic piece, Cydonia, The Secret Chronicle of Mars. Even the face on Mars has been one of the biggest cover-ups and destruction. And look, we have the technology. By the way, I just produced a film, Earth in the Crosshairs. The interdimensional gates of hell have opened, and I believe we're way beyond rocket ships to Mars. I believe there are literal stargates, which are portals. And what's fascinating about this is why all of a sudden is the CIA releasing this information. I think it's important for people to understand. We know from the book of Revelation, we know from the nature of man, fallen man, that the globalists are on record as destroying billions of people. And the entire new paradigm, actually it's just the old recycled of genetically enhanced viruses. I'm telling you, Alex, they got 18 of them reserved. Ebola pox, which the head of Russia's development, Biopreparat, came to the United States. Kenton Alabek testified before Congress, and most of those guys just scratched their head and couldn't believe what he was telling them. Russia succeeded in combining Ebola and smallpox, and that was the days that all smallpox has been destroyed. Not true. Now we're facing the same dilemma, and I'm telling everybody, resist, resist, resist. If you live in a state that wants a mask mandate, stand out, speak up. If you don't resist, you cease to exist.
That's right. They're trying to bring that back. So I want to talk about that. I saw them start rolling out a week and a half ago, the HMPV, and said, I think that's the big one they're going with. Bird flu is meant to target the food supply. They're clearly said they're rolling out a new pandemic to stop Trump. Where are they on that from what you're watching?
Well, what I'm watching and what I'm reporting on from eyewitness testimonies, behind the scenes, the National Defense Authorization Act, the military is going to food manufacturers, paying them, but seizing their inventory. For instance, Costco's out of eggs. Costco's out of specific
all
items.
over Austin. My friends and family are saying the eggs are gone.
Their eggs are gone. And it's important that the facade that people used to think, well, those shelves will be refilled. There is going to be no refilling or replenishing of shelves. We went from the area of being able to select what we want to eat. Listen, this is the United Nations way, to only being shoved down our throat, synthetic gruel, i.e. courtesy of Bill Gates of hell. That's when I talk about the gates of hell, I'm talking literally evil entities that are now in our dimension, flooding our dimension, and all the food. Let's say this, the biggest food canner in the world is Campbell's. I don't think people understand how many, not only Campbell's soups and Campbell's products, but they can for over 200 different companies. And I think it was about 2 to 3 months ago, I started warning people, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is the enforced starvation of the United States of America. Over that time, Alex, 150 million pounds of food has been seized, moved to the quote, underground food storage facilities. One of the biggest is in Kansas. People can look it up. Refrigerated. I mean, it's like 4 square miles.
That's right. So there's a lot of infrastructure attacks going on. That's what I see the bird flu does. What about the HMPV they're hyping up that fits into Bill Gates' latest war game at Johns Hopkins?
Well, listen, everything, and Bill Gates just is tied in with the United Nations. And I got to tell you something. There is no more evil an organization, in my opinion, in the United, I call them United Nothings, or kill everyone. So the point that is critical, they're using words. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, neuro-linguistic programming is a function of the Central Intelligence Agency. Another fancy word is MK ultracating people, and that's mind messing with them. And what's happening, Alex, is everyone's diet, except the elite, is to be moved, and that would be the survivors, to 1,500 calories a day. We in the United States do not have the production, military production, industrial capacity, rare earth metals. We have no gunpowder. We have no lead.
So we've been undermined. So what do you make of Trump's big announcement to re-turbocharge the economy? How do you, well, what are the challenges Trump's going to face? I want to ask you about the huge UAV hysteria of the last month.
Sure. Well, first of all, I believe that Trump is still getting false information appearing to be real. And I'm appealing to people that know him personally. You've got to tell him about this food thing. It's a weapon. Everything that Bidenstein and the illicit crew in Washington is doing is damaging everything that he could rely on, even to the point of being so wicked they want to fly the flag at half-mast to symbolize Trump's, what do you call it, his inauguration as president. But I think...
And Biden signing orders to ban range stoves and drilling, and he's just shutting down as much as he can, as fast as he can, pumping as many hundreds of billions to Ukraine, just everything to sabotage America.
Well, and it started in Afghanistan. Look at all the weapons that were left there. And he is sabotaging America, because what is going on? He's spending money like there's no tomorrow, because there is nothing in the national treasury that he can rely on. You've got to pay troops, you've got to pay people, and the Republicans, what I call rhinosauruses, are thinking that somehow they can raise the debt ceiling. You probably saw, and I know you see so much, but they're not even talking about a balanced budget. It's impossible. The gross domestic product of the United States and all the income revenue cannot cover it. And
so Trump's being handed a disaster. I think he knows that. That's why he's up there hyping up the economy and cheerleading today.
Well, that could be true, but even if you're a cheerleader, you've got to have somebody in the game that knows how to play it, okay? You don't bet on a losing team. And unfortunately, 100 generals fled the country. This is a real number when he announced that he's going to bring, in essence, an advisory board of retired generals back.
For court-martialing.
You got it. And then you've got former head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, openly contacting the Chinese to tell them what President Trump wanted to do about China. He's still saying he has to deal with China.
And that's beyond treason. Well, he basically told them that day on January 6th, he said, I'm really the president.
Yep. And again, here is the issue. We have allowed the open border. So forget about the word immigrant, because obviously that's a catch-all, but we're talking about trained military personnel from China. We're talking about trained narco-terrorist gangs. We're talking about everybody who has a axe to pick, or, you know, I'm sorry, not an axe to pick with. They want to pick the United States and are taking apart. When Michael Yon was in the Darien Gap in Panama, man, he was showing Chinese troops coming in buses. I remember doing a live podcast from him. He's on a uplink, and we're watching.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's massive Islamic and Chi-Com sleeper cells in the United States that really work with the Democrats.
Well, yeah, and let me make this clear. We are under a communist regime, in my opinion, and every communist revolution is based on armed conflict. And what my sources are saying is there's close to 40 to 50,000 trained leftists, and those are people that hate the country, that want revolution, that are ready to go into action prior to the 20th inauguration. That's a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody wondered, well, why is everyone silent? They're waiting for the quintessential contact point to basically make their move. And ladies and gentlemen, we are watching absolutely the takedown and the placement of the troops that hate our guts. And it's too late. And I mean this, look at what happened with the open borders. And kudos to President Trump for putting up the gate. So what does Biden do? He wants to scrap it and sell the steel. What did he do with our strategic petroleum reserve? He lowered it.
He drained it.
What is happening to our Navy? It's pretty much...
He killed the oil drilling permits, killed the Keystone Pipeline. So here's what I'm saying. I agree with you that they're going to try something in the next 12 days. They admit they have a plan. The Democrats are open about it. And I played the clips, folks, for a new viewer. It take hours to show all the proof. It's ridiculous. Senator Murphy 2 days ago. Trump's a dictator. We're going to drive him out. We're going to, there's going to be an uprising. He's a Nazi. Oh, Trump's going to kill a bunch of migrants. They're clearly pre-programming false flags against the migrants if he does get in 12 days. And they're going to have some type of uprising and call it a race war as the cover for activating all these sleeper cells. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes, I do. And I had an actual contact from a implant. He said, I am inside the Communist Party USA. And he said, we are armed and we're going for it. They're not settling for bricks anymore. They're not settling for disrupting Portland. They're not settling for burning cities down. They're going for gold. And in their mind, gold are the people that are withstanding their takeover and takedown. Now, look at what Biden just did. I'm conscious of the time, that he just, in essence, he wasted, he laid waste to the U.S. military. The whole woke drove it broke. And now we don't have what we used to have to even defend the country.
Hold on, stay there. Let's talk about what's coming next and how we stop them. But yeah, folks, the left knows our revolution's real to bring back America. They're going to launch something. Stay with us. The all-time fan favorite bestseller, Vitamin Mineral Fusion, is finally back in stock, exclusively available at drjonesnaturals.com, my dad's great supplement company website. Ladies and gentlemen, Vitamin Mineral Fusion is the all-time fan favorite because listeners and viewers absolutely love it. It's got all the essential vitamins and minerals. It's got a bunch of concentrated superfoods and super herbs, amino acids. It's got everything you need. So many people have health problems and issues because they have vitamin and mineral deficiencies. It tastes great, it's all natural, and it funds the info war. Find out why it's been our #1 bestseller. If you've never tried it, for those of you that have had it, you love it. It's available again, and it keeps us on the air. And this critical time. So thank you all for your support. Vitamin Mineral Fusion is now back in stock, discounted at drjonesnaturals.com, and check out all the other great products while you're there. Thank you so much for keeping us in the fight. Now get your Vitamin Mineral Fusion right now at drjonesnaturals.com. All right, I want to be 100% clear with everybody. This broadcast is all about being urgent. It's about being awake. It's about being informed. It's about being engaged. Denying the tyranny in the world, denying the dangers is what got us in the bad position we've been in. Waking up, admitting there was election fraud 4 years ago. Trump spending hundreds of millions of money that you donated to him to put lawyers and researchers and watchers in every key battleground county. We mitigated the fraud massively. He had a giant landslide, so it was just a moderate landslide because of the fraud. And it's the same in every front. So I'm telling you the real dangers here. I mean, just 2 days ago in Ukraine, over 1,000 tanks and armored vehicles with an army of drones went into Russia proper in a whole nother area off the Ukraine border and engaged the North Korean troops. That's barely in the news. I covered it yesterday. That is spectacularly dangerous. 1 million people dead, according to Trump's briefings he's been given. He said that a few weeks ago. So I've been giving briefings. There's 1 million dead, really. I mean, that's World War II stuff. So Steve Quayle's here with us. I want to hit a bunch of points with him in the time we have left. But I want to do this first. We have a sponsor, and I know that they worked with Steve for a long time, so I kind of recruit him when he was already coming on the show because I want to talk about this sponsor, and that is the Satellite Phone Company. They are the biggest and most successful in North America. They supply much of law enforcement, Border Patrol, you name it, because they have the best contracts and best deals. And everybody needs the different products they have. The solar chargers are the highest quality, the lowest price, the different types of sat phones, different types of data, sat phones, the best prices. A lot of their systems where you get a free phone, you just sign up for service. And then when you look up the service, you're going to find it's some of the best, least expensive service you're going to find. They also have Faraday cage backpacks that are the highest quality at the lowest price you're going to find that law enforcement and military get from them that are also amazing. So everything you need, and by going to this URL, it just takes you to their main page, and then they know that it came from us. InfoWars Phone, one word, InfoWarsPhone.com or 941-841-0844, 941-841-0844. So, Steve, I appreciate you doing this, and I know you're I'm springing this on you because I don't think we really talked about you doing this, but I see you already grabbed one of the backpacks. So because you've been working with this company yourself for over a decade, I'm drafting you to spend a few minutes on it because you're better at talking about it than I am. And then let's get into all those big questions I had that I didn't finish up, the UAV, UAP hysteria, what's behind that. You're talking about the communist uprising, Antifa, others. They would put the literature out. They're going to have an uprising on or around the 20th. I think exposing it can back them down. What do you think was really behind the bombings on New Year's and the truck attack? All of that, I want to hit that with you, but tell us about InfoWarsPhone.com that links to the Satellite Phone Company and the one-stop shop for everything, Steve Quayle.
Well, first of all, Alex, we're watching just climatic manipulation. Dane Wigington, geoengineeringwatch.org, you've interviewed him. But what's incredibly important to people is...
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask you, what's this toxic foam fog?
Well, the fog is basically, if you remember World War I, you used to see all the trench warfare with chlorine gas, and then they went to phosgene, Phosgene. And what that is, look at how the narrative changed from drones and the UFO ones or the unidentified flying drones, the drones that even our jets can't keep up with. So there's multiple events happening. But the satellite phones, from sat123.com, I'm telling you, they are already, they being the Chinese, everyone's going at a cyber war against the United States. Forget the word hacking. This is orchestrated, state-sponsored terrorism to take down the grid. And that's why sat123.com for solar generators, you ran through the list, but I would encourage everyone to get a hold of the special deal, Alex Jones, and you can get the smaller version of the bullet resistance backpack. This one happens to be bulletproof, level 3A, and this is the bigger one. And had the gentleman, the insurance guy, not got back shot, and we'll get into the details real quick, but the point is, ladies and gentlemen, support Alex in this because it's in a critical time. It's no longer a nice world. And if that doesn't dawn on people, look at New York. And pretty soon it's going to be Old York. And I would really encourage people to understand that everybody in the United States is now at risk. That's not a metaphor, or that's not a sales pitch. So, ladies and gentlemen, go to where on Alex Jones, InfoWars, is it InfoWars store or is it InfoWars?
Yeah, the URL where they find the big specials they launch for us is InfoWarsPhone.com. If you go to InfoWars Phone, one word, InfoWarsPhone.com, or call 941-841-0844, say you want the Alex Jones special. The prices are the lowest and best you're going to find, but you do that, get even bigger discounts by going to InfoWarsPhone.com. That takes you to their special page with special deals on all the products they did just for our viewers.
And last statement on the backpack, you get the smaller version of this, which is, $200-300 when you buy each phone. So if you buy a family of 3 or 4, even 2, you get 2 backpacks. But you got to mention the free backpack deal. And Alex, again, I've been in communications a long time. I had one of the first satellite phones. I even have my portable, if you will, uplink. Ladies
By the way, I didn't even tell you I was going to do this. How did you already know all that? You always know everything, Steve. I was going to say, hey, you've talked about this company. They're our sponsor. They've been, I guess you've worked with them forever, so that's why you know more about the deal than I do.
Well, it's not only that, but I kind of practice what I preach. I came up with the slogan, no cell, no power, no program. And what's incredibly important for people, the #1 panic point is when you get out of touch with people you love. Going satellite to satellite, that means I use my phone, I call Alex on his sat phone, and we can talk. And there'll be a time where people will have access to a database, either through Galileo, which again is an offshoot of sat123.com. But ladies and gentlemen, there's another name, and you can get sat123.com, but escape zone. Everybody has to be in the escape zone because what's coming at us has never been seen before in history. And it's interesting because I'm just reading off my intel list for you real quick. There are 4 known groups which are promising war to prevent Trump from taking office. But here's what they're comprised of. The first wave, this is group 1. 42,000 people that are armed. And this came from an insider and also my sources, different places. And 42,000 people, 8,000 are known to have assault rifles, 500 trained snipers. But here's the critical point, Alex. It's coming to the list that they possess of people they see as an enemy of their communist takeover and takedown. That's the first group. And the second group is basically another 61,000. So that puts us up to about 101,000.
So it's a classic coup. They have red lists they're going to go after.
Yeah, they have red lists. And ladies and gentlemen, these people aren't...
I wonder if we're on the list, Steve.
Well, you and I covered this so many years ago, 72, but the most important people are MAGA. And this is what's really critical people understand. I know President Trump, my advice, and I think I've said it publicly, I know he's got it. Do not trust your Secret Service. The head of it is absolutely in the enemy camp. Now, he's going to be replaced, but here's something President Trump needs to know, and everybody needs to know, of every team that is assigned to the president's security detail, one in that team, always one member that's basically an insider on someone else's payroll is always present. And I think this is critical, Alex, because we watched the open contempt for the president, and even we're watching people that are left-wing, communist professors calling, for basically the entire upheaval of the United States. So what is our next move? I expect, and I don't even want to call them false flags. What I'm talking about right now is actual incrementalized warfare against a red list. And again, I was given the red list by somebody almost 25 years ago. And it's red, blue, and green. Red, people scheduled for termination. Blue, i.e. the police. They're the first line of what I would call throwaway soldiers for the left. And I was talking about all the different programs, and they are the army of the enemy. And armies is plural. So in addition to the left wing, we do have in this country, we do have Chinese regular troops. We have absolutely Russian special forces. We have everything and everyone hating our guts. There's even in Venezuela, which is no friend of ours, we have at this point intel that there are inter-regional ballistic missiles already there. And there's open sources on this. It's called OSINT, OSINT, Open Source Intelligence. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been surrounded. And I want to share something. I have yet to see one honest spokesman for the Pentagon with an E on the end tell the truth about Russia's missile superiority. We're watching it. We're watching the hypersonic kinetic weapons hitting Ukraine, and they're not using explosives, they're not using nukes, but they're absolutely devastating.
Sure, and he's
Russia,
demonstrating that they have missiles that can get past the defense systems and hit any target they want with MERV technology. So speak to NATO, the new incursion into Russia in the last 48 hours, where you see that going.
I see that as cutting their own throats. I'm on record as saying NATO will cease to exist. I just talked to Europe 3 hours ago. Obviously, they're 8 hours ahead. And the people in Germany are being dispossessed from their industry. They're having a horrible time. Germany is a powerhouse, was a powerhouse in Europe. And they are fit to be tied. Now, I want everyone to understand this. Every single head of NATO is in the crowd that wants to destroy their national sovereignty and bring about, and I'm not going to call it the New World Order, I'm going to call it the kingdom of Lucifer on earth. And that's what begins 42 of the worst months in the earth's history. Jesus said there's never been a time like it, nor would be again. If God
didn't intervene, there'd be no flesh spared.
Yeah, and then, that gets us into AI and again, alien infiltration, and I mean transdimensional creatures and transdimensional entities that are even infecting and affecting the people that have spent billions. I think it's approaching close to $500 billion or more to develop AI with the understanding it's artificial. It's not. And so, again, what's important...
So you're saying it's an electromagnetic silicon interdimensional interface?
Yes, and here's the deal. Anything inanimate, animate can be possessed. It can be controlled, manipulated. That's the basis of taboo worldwide. But what's more critical is there are even people who have queried AI, and the AI have, the AI entities, that's what I say, AIEs, have identified that they are directed by fallen angels. And what we've done, and I can share this, I've spent 3 years of a massive amount of not only funds, but also some of the smartest people in the world, multiple PhDs, linguists, Asian language specialists, all the ancient languages are absolutely through symbols, and another word is sigils, communicating with their followers on earth what their plans are. And ladies and gentlemen, the assumption of Google and Meta, you can see right now, or Meta, I call it Meta, they're shutting down some of their systems. They're out of control. They're out of the control and the design parameters. Take your computer screen. Let's say that's the framework of AI, and they're operating outside of it. And that one specific interview with Kaku and others showing Google's new AI program, their new machines, their new supercomputers, it's leading them to the conclusion of, and Google, kind of cops out, they say cosmic conscience or cosmic consciousness. There is cosmic consciousness. There's the good God. Obviously, the Bible says the worlds we see are formed out of things we don't see. But the other thing is really critical, as Jesus said, the gates of hell are going to open. A gate only has two purposes: to hold something back or to allow something through. So what I'm saying is that I'm seeing, and I'm telling, and thank you for the opportunity to come on, that there is a whole nother dimension that just broke in the last week about the designers and some of the smartest people on the planet running into entities, real entities, fallen angels, and actual demons.
Well, we saw this. Let me stop you. We saw this in reports, mainstream news out of CERN, things going on like poltergeist type stuff at CERN when they started firing it up and explosions. But let's get to this. I talked about this about a year before he went public. he didn't authorize me to talk about it, so I never said who, but I said a bunch of other people, and Tucker told me at his house a lot more about it, and then his crew told me a lot more about it, and things that haven't been revealed. But Tucker was brought up as a, just kind of mainline, I think it's like Episcopal or whatever, and he wasn't sure God was real, then he started fighting the globalists more and seeing the evil in the world, and started, seeking and praying more. And then he told me the rest of the story, but that's off record. And then he literally, when he was awake, just lay down in bed, was attacked by a black shadow demonic entity, bloodied him up under his arms where he couldn't even reach, fingernail scratches on his back, under his arms. Then his staff, who weren't even sure God was real, literally had in their cars and stuff, demons pop up in the cabs of their cars saying, Satan's going to kill you. And he was like, what the hell is this? And then I was sitting there at dinner with him, and I said, when this happened, did anybody lay hands on you? God was literally telling me this, and I'm being honest with this to the audience, okay? There's a lot of other stuff that's going on, and God's literally laid it on me to go ahead and start talking about this. And I said, wait a minute. And my wife's sitting right there, in his living room. He's got some of his crew and wife and family there. And he's at the head of the table right here, and I'm sitting right behind my wife's right here. And I said to him, I was listening to him. I said, let me just stop you. I said, he goes, where do you think it came from? What happened? What was going on? And I said, this is energetic. I said, did somebody put their hands on you or like try to do some ritual or some blessing to you? And he goes, whoa. He goes, hold on just a minute. And he kind of got up, went off for a minute because it freaked him out so bad. And he came back and he said, I haven't told my crew this, my wife this, anybody. He goes, this just happened to me flying back a week ago. That I was looking at old pictures from a year ago. And I'm paraphrasing and making it quick here because it was a long conversation. And he said that I clicked that 4 days after I was at this person's house, this very rich, well-known person in California, that he's leaving their house after staying there for a day. He'd known him for a long time, really liked him, very well-known person. And when he's getting in the car to go to the airport, the famous person says, hey, my wife wants to talk to you inside for a minute. She's got something really important to tell you. And I said, let me stop you. They led you into like a room. And he goes, how do you know this? And I said, well, just keep going. He goes, well, yeah. And I said, was it like a ritual? Did they? And he goes, well, let me tell you. And then now he starts really, people know Tucker's face as well. That's what he does in person. It's not, but I mean, he's like making Tucker face I've never seen. He goes, okay, yeah. And so they go in, and I'm sitting there about to say altar, and he goes, and there's like a chair up on a riser in the middle of the room. And I said, let me guess, it was like weird looking room. And he goes, yeah, red ceiling, all these weird like tendrils of trees, vines coming down. I said, yeah, okay. And he said, then she says, I want to pray for you. And he's like, okay. And she puts his hands on his ankles, and she, just starts basically, chanting. And I said, let me stop. What, did you get filled with sexual energy? And he goes, yeah. So that's Aleister Crowley, blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh my God. And he starts telling me more. So my point is that then 4 days later, he gets attacked by the demon. They were literally opening up a gate to do that. And the issue is, folks, I had this happen when I was like 11 years old. Not in the middle of the night, wasn't watching spooky movies. We were going to see Rambo 3, the one where he's in Afghanistan. It was in the afternoon. Me and my dad used to go every few weeks to see a movie. And I said, hey, I want to go to the refrigerator and get my Gatorade. He goes, okay. He's in the truck waiting in the Bronco. And I walk into the kitchen, and I had this event happen. And so the point is this is very real, okay? And so, but now Tucker was saying a lot of people he knows are having similar things happen. Sorry to take your time, Steve, but what do you make of that?
Well, this is critical, Alex, and take all the time you need. Because when I started on talk radio, I was talking about the time when the invisible realm would become manifest. Oh,
I remember.
And I'm telling people the amount of emails I get of people having supernatural evil encounters. I want to give advice to everybody. Do not allow anyone to lay hands on you and pray for you, because they can pray for you without laying hands on you. That's called the transference of evil spirits. Now, in the Bible, godly men would lay hands on righteous men. Obviously, Moses did that to Joshua and Caleb. And this
but if you don't completely know somebody and trust you and it's not your pastor for 10 years, don't do it.
Yeah, don't allow anyone to lay hands on you, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's so critical now, and this is important for people to understand. There are no barriers. This country, and as a whole,
black magic is all about sex, and particularly raping children, then that's how they transfer it there.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And Alex, I think the second book I ever wrote was called Aliens and Fallen Angels, the Sexual Corruption of the Human Race. So it's important for people to make two distinctions. A demon is a disembodied spirit and of a giant. That's from the Book of Giants. That's a literal Dead Sea Scroll. It's in addition to the Book of Enoch. But
imagine God literally told me just to say that. It was a message literally from God through me, and God told me to do it during election night to say Trump will make his announcement at 1:27, and I went ahead and just set it on air, and then it happened at 1:27. I mean, God, though, as the enemy comes in, the Bible doesn't tell us is going to give us more power, though.
No, it says the Spirit of the Lord raises up a standard, and that means a bulwark or an embattlement against him. And it's not that God's on the defensive only as people are, but until people learn their authority, and this is what Jesus said when he said, behold, I give you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. But here's the problem. A lot of people, what I call Christian claimants, haven't got that personal relationship with Jesus, and you're talking about the word of the Lord being given to you specifically, and when it's as accurate as you're experiencing, and again, I think it's critical that people understand this is going to be the greatest freak out in history, because the shadow masters are going to become
Well, who's
visible.
the preacher? We had him on, the bald-headed guy, really nice. A year before Trump gets shot, he says Trump is hit in the ear, he falls down, he pops back up. What's his name? Brandon Biggs. He came out a few months ago and said there's going to be a truck attack in New Orleans and a bomb. That guy's dead. I mean, God's showing people.
Sure, and God's showing anybody that will hear what the Spirit of God has to say, who will see and what's obvious to everybody, and you cannot separate the spiritual realm from the political realm, because a lot of these people that claim, quote unquote, to be Christians, the most powerful thing I know in the entire New Testament is Jesus said, it's not those who claim they know me, but it's those I know. And ladies and gentlemen, the protection is in Jesus, but the seduction is going to overrule and overcome the general public.
Believe me, it's been going on with me. It's been wild. I'm going to leave it at that. It's quite.
And Alex, again, look at the life you've lived, warning people in the natural. But now God's given you. Is this accurate? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but God's given you a new charge, meaning he's saying, Alex, talk about this stuff. Because again,
I don't know if you must have missed the show. And I said before this happened, in the months before now, God would wake me up and say, go look at the clock in the hall, turn your and God would tell me the exact time over and over again, and literally said, now listen to me. And it's not like you hear it audibly, you can tell when it's not you. And exactly God going, hey, this is exactly, Steve, love you, stevequail.com, InfoWarsPhone.com for the big sale on that. Everybody needs to get ready. InfoWarsPhone.com. I love you, brother. Come back again next week. It's been 6 months that you're on. We got to get you back next week. Steve Quail, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Alex. And when you want me on, schedule me, because I'm going to break the most remarkable
news. We're going to schedule
news.
you right now. Owen Schroyer takes over. Stay there. We're going to schedule right now. I have been so busy covering the news and all the insane developments that I did not look at the biggest, most amazing sales ever from the great folks at Bigley that power our sponsor site, thealexjonesstore.com. So let me read off to you the specials that are going right now. The F-250 giveaway trimmer ends Wednesday, the 8th, coming up in just 4 days or less than 4 days. Also, we have a 25% special running right now, site-wide, no code needed, and 10x entries for every dollar spent on top of the regular sales that are going. And free $6 store credit with no minimum spend. 10x entries for the truck every time you buy something as well. Free $6 store credit with no minimum spend. 10x entries. And then the last day, free limited edition black InfoWars hat with every order, no minimum spend, and 10x entries on the last day for the truck. And there's a bunch of other specials. The current 5 limited edition fundraiser posters, the sale on those will end, and we won't make any more on January 6th as well. So these big sales are going, but they're flash sales right now at the AlexJonesStore.com. The very best supplements, incredible Patriot apparel, some of the best designs, and certainly the widest selection anywhere of 4 groups I break it into. Classic Patriot 1776 gear, Alex Jones InfoWars S gear, pro-Trump gear, and Patriot comedy limited edition t-shirts, hoodies, ball caps, you name it, because there's over 300 designs right now, but the designs come and go. Now, some of the t-shirts will always be for sale as long as the AlexJonesStore.com is there. They're classics, but most of them are limited edition, one time that you can get, like we had at Christmas or like we had at Halloween. So you want to visit the store every few days because there's so many amazing products. And then the most important thing is your own health. Ultimate Sea Moss. Sea Moss is the ultimate superfood, the best iodine, all the best vitamins and minerals. The way God, made Irish Sea Moss, it just does incredible things for your energy, your stamina, your libido, your focus, your immune system, inflammation, you name it. And speaking of inflammation, we have another incredible superfood, and that is turmeric with the other concentrated superfood of ginger and black pepper concentrate. Incredible what it does for your body. I'm on it all. People can see how healthy I am. It is amazing. So be sure and get the ultimate turmeric formula as well, and so many other game-changing supplements of the very best out there, private labeled from top firms out there. So it's the best and the very strongest at the lowest price you're going to find for this quality, and it keeps the broadcast on air. The bad guys have tried to shut us down with 3 big events in the last 7 months, and we've barely survived each time because of your support and because of you praying and taking action. And they're trying in the next few weeks to shut us down again. People are like, wow, you survived 3 times. Well, I'm not taking anything for granted. That's why we set up the AJN network in case the InfoWars studios get shut down. I'm shooting that from right there today. So we need your support. Plus, these are great products. It's all available at thealexjonesstore.com. We're changing the world together. Go check out thealexjonesstore.com today, and be sure, if you're going to buy anything to support the broadcast and great products, that you become a VIP member. It's $30 a month, cancel anytime, month to month, and you get $40 to spend in the store. So you make money. If you're going to be buying things in the store, you make money by being a VIP. You get special discounts, special offers, special sales, all sorts of stuff if you're a member at thealexjonesstore.com. Thank you all for keeping us on the air. Now check out thealexjonesstore.com right now.
This document is essentially a treatise laying out exactly what they planned on doing. The biggest deviation in what actually manifested from what this document said 4 years earlier was the fact that the virus did not arrive in the United States it didn't arrive in the United States based on planes. It was on cruise lines. And what you have right there on the screen, that's the agenda. So this is sort of the meeting minutes where they discuss this. This is the, when you go to any sort of conference, they have who's speaking at what time your breaks are, what time your lunch is. This is one of those documents where they met in DC in 2015. It goes through explaining essentially a hypothetical scenario with an outbreak, and it has the names of the individuals. It shows you the sessions, the guidance on who's going to be there, who's going to be speaking, and there's a mix of high-profile government officials as well as people, just like Peter Daszak EcoHealth Alliance. You have a lot of other private sector NGO entities that are involved in this. And what are we going to do mitigating the risk of emerging infectious diseases? And this is not the only context in which we have seen, hypothetical scenarios or trainings, so to speak, arise. I'm reading this in their own words. I mean, if you look down, it's the 6th line in the paragraph. It says something about this poses a serious threat because the potential for SARS to reemerge persists, whether naturally or as a result of a research accident in a laboratory. I mean, that's quite specific. And it's not just that one instance there, talking about using coronaviruses as an example, concepts like One Health. They talk about the important period for investment when you're